Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Kefa for Spoilers. I am your host James Barnes, and today guys I'm joined once again by Lowland Brad as we talk about the film that united the 6 Infinity Stones and gave us who I think is the greatest comic book villain of all time, Avengers Infinity War. The film was directed by Anthony and Joe Russo and was written by Christopher Markus and Stephen McFeely. The production budget on this film ranges between 300 and 400 million and had a marketing budget of 150 million, making it the most expensive marketing campaign in history. Infinity War opened to 257 million at the domestic box office, giving it the biggest domestic opening of all time. The film also holds the record for the biggest international opening of all time, the biggest spring opening of all time, the biggest April opening of all time, the biggest PG-13 opening of all time, and grossed a little over 2 billion worldwide, making it the 4th highest grossing film in history and the highest grossing superhero film ever. Now, with all that said, what do you guys think about all of these incredible records that Infinity War has hit?
It's insane. I can't believe that we're living in a time where the culmination of the Infinity Saga is this worldwide phenomenon. Like, it's so cool.
I feel unsuccessful.
Like it's crazy to think about the fact that Marvel had to sell off almost half of their characters just to stay in business, and now 3 of the Avengers movies are all in the top 10 highest grossing films of all time. That includes, not including Iron Man 3. Like, there's so many films that are in the top 20 highest grossing films of all time in the MCU. It's absolutely insane. And now that Marvel Studios, Disney has purchased Fox, they have all of their characters back, and who knows what's going to happen in the future.
It's definitely quite a pull yourself up by the bootstrap story, because Marvel really almost became a non-starter. Mm-hmm. It was almost gone and not even producing comics anymore. And now, I mean, you look at all of the facts you just rattled off for Infinity War, and just the news is broken over the amount of sales for Endgame. And it is truly just this huge phenomenon. And when you watch this movie, so much thought, so much planning has gone into it. You kind of forget that Marvel almost went under and went completely out of business. But I'm glad that it didn't.
Yeah, very happy. Like, Endgame spent $200 million on marketing. Like, it's insane. It's now the biggest, marketing campaign ever. It's insane, and it's going to make all of that money back.
Oh, and then some. I mean, it probably already has in advanced ticket sales.
Yeah, like, who knows? Like, I think it's going to beat Titanic for sure, but I don't know about Avatar.
Is Titanic and Avatar, they're still, like, the top? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, they're still number 1 and number 2. The advantage that Avatar had was it was in theaters for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Titanic has had re-releases also.
Exactly. So it's really tough to tell how much money this is going to make compared to Avatar. I think it's going to make like 2.5 billion. But I mean, that extra like 200 and something million is it's another milestone. I just don't know.
Almost all of the fans that I know of this franchise have multiple tickets to see this movie. Okay, you don't need to rub it in, Brad. So they are definitely going to get, especially with those repeat viewers over that opening weekend, it's going to be nuts to see what it looks like.
Yeah, we were talking about it before the podcast.
Yes, they were talking about it before the podcast. I have 1 set of tickets, you guys.
Brad and I have 3 tickets for opening weekend. I just can't wait.
You guys are like, I'm going to go Thursday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. Laura, and I'm like, I don't want to talk about
it. So let's not waste any more time. Let's dive into the film.
Yeah.
So when the film opens, we get the traditional Marvel opening, but not the traditional music. Mm-hmm. It's very ominous, and it pretty much gets us ready for what's going to happen in this film and pretty much preparing us for everything that's going to be going down. So the voiceover that we get over the destruction of Thor's ship is actually Kenneth Branagh, who is the director of the first Thor movie.
That's
so
a cool
that was
little
really
piece.
Cool when I found out. I love that Anthony and Joe Russo came back to direct this movie. I think it's only fitting that they were the ones to direct this and Endgame. You could tell that Joss Whedon was just super tired being the only one working with all of these characters, and I'm happy that these two guys get to work together to get this all onto the screen.
And the Russos coming off of things like Arrested Development and Community, they're used to having to structure their story around multiple characters while having those individual characters have strong story arcs, but also having good story arcs for the group and everything. So I think that their training that they had in those two specific comedies that rely so heavily on individual stories and group stories, that really helped what we see now in Infinity War.
Yeah, because, one thing that I really like about Infinity War is that every time they introduce a new character who might have had their own solo film, say the Guardians, or say Tony Stark as Iron Man, or Thor, the scene feels very much the way that their solo film felt, especially when the Guardians come in. There's their music, they always are sort of bathed in purple light, which I like a lot with them.
Very colorful.
The way that they intro Tony and Pepper out jogging in New York feels very much like them, but it never feels like disconnected movies. It never feels like a bunch of little movies shoved together. It always feels very cohesive, but you also don't lose any of each individual character's special thing that they bring. And I especially love that this movie essentially picks up right at that after credits scene from Thor Ragnarok, where he's got all of Asgard on the ship, and he says something that they always say in superhero movies. It's like, what could happen now?
Yeah.
That's my Thor. You guys are welcome. And they look out and you can see kind of the shadow of a big ship looming over them. And then this movie picks up right there. That I thought was really cool and really smart.
Yeah. I wish we got to see Valkyrie and Korg.
Where is Valkyrie?
So on the commentary track, the Russos just say that Thanos let them escape. So they let them escape with half of the people that were on the ship.
We don't get any of that in Infinity War, though, do we?
I mean, no, they don't tell you. It's only on the commentary track. We're left wondering what happened to them, but we know that Thanos leaves half of the people, so we know that they
he did his 50-50
somehow.
again, even on the ship.
Even on the ship,
I'm sorry about earlier when I yelled about Valkyrie. I just love her, you guys.
She's the best.
She's awesome.
I am obsessed with her. I'm obsessed with Tessa Thompson. I've said it on the pod. I'll say it again on the pod. I hope that she DMs me one day. I think we should get lunch. But it is a big question that you have, because she's on the ship at the end of Ragnarok. Where is she? Her poster is in color, therefore we know she wasn't dusted. Where is my best friend Valkyrie?
Yeah, I mean, Tessa Thompson was in an interview, and she's like, I like to think that Valkyrie was in a bar getting drunk after what happened. But how cool is the Black Order, too? I feel like they're a perfect complement to Thanos, and Ebony Maw is my favorite.
Rejoice.
Yes.
Is he your favorite in the comics, or just your favorite in the movies?
In the comics, too.
In the comics, too. I thought it was really nice to see them give personalities to the Black Order, even though they're introduced in this movie, and they essentially go bye-bye in this movie. I don't think any one of them survives.
They're not important, really.
They're not, but they make them feel very important. And I thought that was done really, really well. I mean, they did drop one of my favorite of the Black Order off of the roster for this film, but the ones that they kept were so great. And I did think it was a good idea to change your boy's name from Black Dwarf.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we don't call somebody that in a movie. But Ebony Maw's scenes, especially later in the movie with Doctor Strange, they're wicked. They're so awesome.
Yeah, and the reason why the Russos picked these versions of the Black Order was to have parallels to the Avengers. Like the bigger one, the Black Dwarf. That would be more of the Hulk parallel. Yeah. Ebony Maw would be more of the Doctor Strange parallel. And Proxima is that strong female inside of the group. And what is the other one's name? Corvus? Or
Corvus Glaive.
Yeah.
Because he wields a magic glaive, which is essentially a sword on a stick.
Yeah, and so the first time I watched it, I didn't know that it had, like, mystical properties, because when he stabs Vision later on in the film, it kind of bothered me, because Vision in Age of Ultron was pretty much shown to us as almost omnipotent.
Yeah.
And then it's like, he gets stabbed once and he's just done.
You do have to kind of know that that he is wielding something with special properties in it. Because in the comics, that's actually what gives him his immortality and all of his power. They all have special weapons that Thanos made for them. They didn't explain that at all in the movie. You're just kind of asked to accept it, which of course I did, because whatever. But I agree with you. The first time you watch it, you go, what?
Yeah, I mean, there's just too much. Like,
there's so much.
This film is 2 hours and 30 minutes, but it doesn't feel that way.
Oh,
it's so well paced.
Flies by.
It does unless you have to pee, which is always a concern of mine.
I'm worried about you for Endgame.
We picked the tickets on the end of the row, and I was like, these aren't going to be the best, but I can get up and pee super fast. Fast, you guys. I'm short and I'm not a runner, but I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to get back in that theater.
What happens directly after this is Thanos' dialogue, which I think is great. His introduction is so great. The way they keep him hidden in the dark until he's walking, he's giving that amazing dialogue. I actually wrote the whole thing down.
Will you do it in the voice, please?
I can't do a good Thanos voice, but I know what it's like to lose, to feel so desperately that you're right, only to fail nonetheless. It's frightening, turns the legs to jelly. I ask you to what end? Dread it, run from it, destiny arrives all the same. Now here it is, or should I say, I am. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, such good dialogue.
So
well, and Josh Brolin does an amazing job with Thanos. He really, really does. I mean, Josh Brolin is a fantastic actor, but even that scene, that intro to him, I mean, which is really that first kind of time that you really see him, but later to his scenes with Gamora, especially his scenes with Gamora on the ship, they're so powerful. It is not logical what he is doing, but he portrays it in a way where he really believes in it, and that leads such credence to the character.
So Thanos is my hero in this movie.
Oh, okay, that's a hot take.
So
he says while wearing a Captain America shirt.
I think Thanos is completely justified in this film.
Well, you're wrong.
Where's your stance on the argument that he could have just doubled the Earth's resources rather than eliminated half of all of existence?
So how I feel about that is, if you double the resources, because there's more, naturally as beings we will use more. Eventually it will still run out. So in order to correct this, if you wipe out half the life in the universe, there are so much more resources for everyone. That's what I think.
I do want to make a point that you're arguing for genocide. I'm not going to let you go on that one. It's got to be said. You're arguing for genocide.
No comment.
And I think all of us, especially in 2019, should perhaps not argue for genocide. He's a sociopath. He is a sociopath. And I love that you're always like, let's talk about the villain and how he's got some pretty good points. That's one of my favorite things about you, in all honesty, because you love villains. And Thanos is a well-done villain. Because
the best done villain.
You gotta stop calling him a hero, though, man. Like, you want people to listen to the podcast, not tune out because they're like, this guy loves genocide.
He wants to save us all.
He is egotistical.
He is very, very.
And due to that, thinks he has come up with a master plan. I think maybe if he'd had maybe a brainstorming sesh with some of his pals, he could have arrived at multiple other conclusions. Maybe, like doubling the world's resources is one of them. There's probably several others that don't involve genocide, which again is what you are arguing for. But you're still invited to the wedding. I just would ask that you not speak to my father.
I love the interactions between Thor and Loki and Thanos.
Because they go way back. They used to date.
That would have been an interesting story.
But it does make sense, though, that Loki would feel that he can step to Thanos because he has worked for Thanos before. Even if I'm pretty sure he never directly communicated with Thanos. He would have gone through the other. Thank you. And Loki is still doing, I'm going to call it Lokiing. I'm going to verb it. Yes. He's still doing that thing that Loki does. You know what I mean? And it works. It's such a great, because he's not going to be in the rest of the film, unfortunately, but it's a really strong moment for him in the movie.
Yeah, I'm going to miss him. Like, I think Loki brought something unique. You know what I mean? Like, in the comics, he's just a dick, but there is something about Loki in the MCU that you do empathize for him. Like, he can't help himself but to be the god of mischief that he is. Like, he just can't help himself.
Now, do you think that this mini-series that we're getting of Loki is going to take place before or after?
So I think it takes place before. Listening to Feige in interviews, he's like, Loki and Thor have been around for 1,500 years. Yeah. There's so much stories to tell from way back when. So they have time.
I would love for it to be
one
like
time
a
Loki
period
turned into
piece type
Sif
of
and
thing.
hooked up with Thor.
Really?
That's in the comics.
Wow.
I don't necessarily need that episode. I'm just saying they've done some
shit. You could put that in the What If series.
Where is Sif? Like, I'm pissed off. I love Sif so much.
I don't miss him.
What?
I love the character of Sif. I didn't enjoy Jamie Alexander's portrayal of her.
Really?
I did. Oh, God, it's a whole other podcast. You guys, we should do a podcast called What We Don't Like About the MCU.
I would love that, actually.
That's actually a good idea.
That's a really good idea.
I did something good, you guys. I thought that in Thor 1, they really got Sif wrong, and they really got the... guys, I have weekend brain. I'm so sorry. They got his... I'm going to call them his friends.
The Warriors 3.
The Warriors 3.
I'll agree with you
his crew?
on that. They're not exactly written the best.
They're not, and I don't think that they redeemed Sif in Thor 2, and I think that they didn't really know what direction to go with her in, and I think there were scheduling conflicts for Jamie Alexander for Ragnarok, and so they brought in Valkyrie, and what happened was Valkyrie was so amazing and so strong, and even, to me, better than she is in the comic. Not to say that she's not a good comic character. She's just not one of the top comic characters that I think of. But they did her so well that it made Sif, to me, sink even lower. So in terms of this film, like, I don't care where Sif is because I don't really care what she's doing. If they do another Thor movie, though, and they give Sif more character, maybe. You know, like, I'm open to that. I'm open to Jane Foster coming back. But... I don't know, like, I feel like they didn't get Thor right until Ragnarok.
For sure.
I completely agree
in a
with that.
solo sense. He was great in Avengers 1. He had some of the best lines. But, yeah, I don't really miss Sif, which is a shame because she's killer in the comic book.
Yeah,
I mean,
such
killer.
A badass.
And also in Norse mythology, shout out to history.
Yeah. So, what I want to talk about next is the fight between Thanos and Hulk.
Yes.
Now, this is something that I wanted to see forever before this movie came out. And I love the way that Thanos just fucks him up.
He just ruins his life.
Let him have his fun.
Yeah. On the commentary track, the Russos were talking about the fact that they see Thanos as the Genghis Khan of the entire universe.
Tell me, do you like Genghis Khan?
Not at all.
Oh, okay. Well, that's because of the genocide. You know what I'm saying?
He's not trying to save us. Thanos is trying to save us. Genghis Khan just wanted to...
Do you think Genghis Khan thought he was saving people? We're going to come back to that.
He's trying to save himself.
We're going to turn the podcast off, James. We're going to have some pizza. We're going to talk about some shit.
But I just loved watching that fight because we know how powerful the Hulk is, and to see him be dissected by Thanos was amazing to see.
I did love the callback when Loki says, "We have a Hulk."
Yes.
You know, it was so perfect. And that everything that's happening on the ship, I mean, you have to remember, this is the first 10 minutes of the film. Thor is decimated and actually encased in metal by Ma.
Are we going to skip over Heimdall?
Well, I was going to say,
gone.
like, that's
that,
right after. Yeah,
yes.
The Hulk comes out to fight Thanos. He loses. And Heimdall summons all the rest of his power to send him on the Bifrost down to Earth. It's an interesting choice that he goes with Hulk. My fiance and I were talking about it this morning, like, why wouldn't he have done Thor? I think maybe he couldn't have gotten Thor off of the ship because he was in the metal.
I don't know. That's a really good point. I never thought about it.
Because you just kind of accept it when you're watching the movie, but later you think, well, if he had one last burst of energy and he could have sent anyone down, obviously not Loki, but there were a couple of other choices on the ship. But it is cool to see him summon the Bifrost that one last time. But guys, when Thanos puts the sword through... It's a sword, piece of metal. I don't remember exactly what the implement is, but when he kills Heimdall, I audibly yelled in the theater. I was so sad. I still gasp when I see it. It's such a terrible moment.
Yeah, and I think Heimdall is written terribly too in the entire MCU. Like,
really? I love him in
Ragnarok.
the little bit of Ragnarok.
I thought they really redeemed him in Ragnarok. Again, he isn't... I don't think they got it really right in 1 and 2.
Because I mean, Heimdall is he is the keeper of the Bifrost for a reason. Odin entrusts him for a reason, not just because of his sight, but because of his incredible power to guard the gate of Asgard.
His wisdom, his fighting prowess. He is someone that Odin knows. If Odin freaks out and goes down a dark path, Heimdall will stop him. He's such a powerful figure in the comics and such a mentor for Thor and a good friend. And I think they got the friend part really well done. But then in Ragnarok, they let Heimdall step into that warrior mode. And that's when, to me, they really got him right. But
too
again,
late.
1 and 2, not so much.
Yeah, he's just the guy that just stands there and
I'm
looks
never mad to
intimidating.
see Idris Elba, though. I'm never mad to see him in anything. You give him crap lines, he still does a good job.
Have you seen the new Hobbs and Shaw trailer?
I've seen the trailer. I have not seen all 11,000 of the Fast and the Furious movies.
You don't need to.
I didn't think I did.
He literally has a line in the new trailer where he says, "I'm Black Superman." And it's the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I feel like we're probably going to do a pod on that.
Oh,
Hobbs and Shaw? Oh, yeah, for sure.
That looks like some shit, man.
That movie's
As
going
someone
to be
who doesn't,
amazingly
I
ridiculous.
haven't seen any of the Fast and the Furious movies that feature The Rock, which is bad on Mike because I love The Rock.
Good ones.
They're actually entertaining.
I was told that I had to see all of the original Fast and the Furious to understand the ones that The Rock are in, and I didn't want to put myself through that. You guys, I've got a job, I'm very busy, I'm trying to sleep at night, so I just left it where it was. But if I don't have to watch any of that to watch Hobbs and Shaw, I'm in.
So I would say if you want to enjoy it more, watch Fast and Furious 1 and 4, and then The Rock comes in 5.
Yeah.
And then
I've
you can
seen
just watch the
1.
rest
I mean,
of it.
I'm a human.
Yeah, so see 4, and then you're good.
I watched Tokyo Drift. That's when I tapped out, y'all.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
The
Tokyo
only
Drift.
important thing is Shaw killing, what's his name?
Han.
Oh my God, careful for spoilers.
Spoilers.
Brad, Jesus. but no, I cry a little bit when Heimdall dies. What about you guys?
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Definitely got me the first time. I was like, are you serious?
Well, and also, again, it's the first 7 minutes of the film, and we've killed someone who I know the name of.
Yeah.
Not to mention all of the dead Asgardians on the ship. Thor has gotten his ass beat. Hulk is beaten in a way that you've never seen Hulk beaten. And now on the Bifrost down to Earth, like, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next scene is where Loki tries to kill Thanos. And it's such an emotional scene because Tom Hiddleston does such a really good job in all of this stuff. Like, all of his dialogue, like, Loki, Odin's son. Like, I felt that, you know what I mean?
When he looks over at Thor and he says it.
Yeah.
And he takes that little beat like, brother.
Yeah, and
so good.
Yeah, when Thanos grabs him by the throat and just strangles him to death, it's like Thor just can't catch a break, man. He just watched his best friend die. Half of Asgard just died. Asgard, the planet, just blew up.
He killed his sister.
He just killed his sister.
That he just found out he had. Like, he is not having a good week. Like, this dude lost an eye, lost a planet, lost a sister, lost a brother,
hammer.
lost a hammer.
Yeah.
I bet he really misses Mohilnar. Lost a best friend. Like, this is the worst week. Like, you've never had a week this bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Like, watching Loki die was really rough, and I love the effect that he kind of turns blue, like, back to, like, his frost giant form.
You still think the hero murdered Loki? The hero of the film murdered Loki?
It is a small sacrifice.
Oh my God, James.
For the will
This
of
is
the
why
universe.
I don't give you Christmas presents. Because it's shit like this, James.
And let's talk about the visual effects. The visual effects in this movie are absolutely stunning. When Ebony Maw hands Thanos the Tesseract, and he crushes it in his hand, it looks so good.
Cool.
Well, just Thanos himself is probably the best looking CG character like I've ever seen in a movie, period. Like,
and they got the size of him so right. He just completely towers over sets, people. You realize how big Hemsworth is in real life? You ever seen pictures of him standing with the rest of the Avengers? Yeah. I mean, prospectively thought he was like 6'5". He's like 6'3", but he has transformed his body into that of a god. And to make something look that imposing next to him, like, damn. Yeah. And it looks real, and the chin doesn't look like nutsacks. Like, that is amazing, you guys.
I compare this to, like, how Steppenwolf looks in Justice League. Oof. It's so different. It's like, this is good CGI, and this is bullshit.
Mm-hmm. I have not seen that flick.
You are not missing anything. It's
I know.
Not bad.
That's why I didn't do it.
It's not bad, but it's just meh.
I have a list of...
Watch it on Netflix.
As I like to say, it's okay. I have a list of films that I will only watch if you ask me to.
I want to see this list, and I need to add to it.
I should not have said anything.
So Thanos destroys the ship using the Power Stone, and then immediately uses the Space Stone to teleport himself off of the ship with the Black Order. And I love what this film does with showing you exactly what each stone is capable of throughout this entire film. I feel like they really do a really good job at that.
They have made the color scheme so perfect. Again, because the Guardians are always bathed in purple, and it's because they are the ones that brought the Power Stone into play. So when he uses the Power Stone, it's purple flames. When you use the Space Stone, it is blue when you're moving through it. When you are changing reality, there's like a red tint to the scenes. It's amazing. It's so well thought out.
Yeah. It's very well thought out. And the next scene is where we get Hulk. We finally see Hulk land inside of the Sanctum Sanctorum. And Doctor Strange and Wong are going out for sandwiches.
I wouldn't say no to a tuna melt.
I love that they give you... They know exactly where to put the humor. So the first 10 minutes of the scene, we've seen... I assumed in the movie all of Asgard dying. Because I didn't know anything about half of them getting away. Yeah. We've seen Heimdall die. We've seen Loki die. And we've seen what we assume is Thor dying. And you're like, I don't know why I paid for this movie. And then you get this aggressively funny scene between Doctor Strange and Wong where they're talking about, like, well, guess you don't have any money. And he's like, I have 3 rupees. And he's like, how much is that? And he's like, is it like a buck 25? And then Hulk crashes through the stairs and, like, it gets going. But it's a necessary joke break. Okay, guys?
Yeah. And Banner's like, Thanos is coming. And I just love the fear in his eyes. Like, your savior is coming.
James is gonna get beat. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna have to take my shoe off, and I'm gonna Black Widow thigh you in 2 minutes.
And then
I wish I could move like that, you guys. I was coming. So cool. I was coming up the stairs earlier today, and I pulled my back out. Y'all are laughing like that's a joke. No. I love to. They jump over to Tony and Pepper. And they give you the big reveal that Tony has proposed to Pepper. I loved that scene. It's really sad later, but I thought it was really well done.
Do you think Pepper is being a little bit, like, too selfish? Like, she has a right to be selfish and not wanting him to be an Avenger anymore, but do you guys think that she's being a little too selfish?
That's a tough one, James.
Because I'm right in the middle of it. Like, she has a right. Like, she fears for his life. Like, she wants a normal life with him. She wants to have a family with him. But, I mean, the universe is at stake.
And she knew what she was getting into whenever she entered into that relationship with him. Like, she wasn't just entering into a relationship with Tony. She was entering a relationship with Iron Man also.
Exactly.
I feel like that's very true. But I do feel like Tony has said things to her that he wants to quit, that he is going to quit, that he has told her that, and then he has sort of walked that back. And I think
so the point that he destroyed his suits, and then he's
exactly so like I think she accepted that as part of the relationship with him. But when he has given her that look into a world where she could just be with him and not have to be with him as Iron Man, and she realized how happy that made her, and then he goes right back to being Iron Man, I think that would be really, really hard to deal with. And when you love someone, you don't want them to be consistently putting themselves into danger.
Right. And that's why I'm in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, even if you love a firefighter, you know what I mean? Like, you can't ask them to not be a firefighter, but you know, and in that scene, too, he's telling her essentially, like, I had a dream that we had children and I really want to have kids. And she's like, well, you should probably stop being Iron Man before we do that. Like, nobody wants to be a single mother because their superhero significant other has died, you know? So I don't know. I'm right dead set in the middle. I think if Tony would stop being so wishy-washy about quitting Iron Man, it would be easier for her to accept Iron Man.
Yeah, and it's a very hero thing. I mean, we've seen this kind of stuff in stories all the time where a hero would try to put their cape down, for a lack of a better term, but they can't because there's always that next mission.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, again, the universe is at stake, and would you really be okay if he just sat by and just did nothing? Because, I mean, the person that you fell in love with was because of that bravery, because of that heroism. Are you just okay with him just taking a back seat and watching the universe go up in dust? Like, are you really okay with that?
I think that she isn't. And that's a beautiful piece of Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
I do think she's having a little bit of a panic attack when she calls him and he's on the ship. And she's like, no, come home.
Yeah.
Like, I think the same way that Tony still has PTSD about fighting in the first Avengers film, I think she has that too.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still there. You know what I mean? She's still there. She's still with him. She still said yes to the engagement. She still got his back.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the next scene we get, Doctor Strange opens up a portal, and Banner and Tony finally get to reunite since Age of Ultron.
Like, yeah.
Crazy.
And it's such a big moment too, because I think maybe Tony wouldn't have gone with Doctor Strange had Banner not popped out and been like, "This is serious," because this dude's been missing for years now.
Yeah, it's been at least what would you say, like
at least 2 years?
2 years,
because you figure in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man is just about to come off of a 2-year house arrest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which means that it's been 2 years since the end of Civil War, give or take.
Yeah.
So it's been at least 3 or 4 years since Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
So, and Banner's just been gone.
Yeah.
And now
It's
here
crazy.
he is in an ill-fitting coat.
Yeah.
The coat is ill-fitting.
I've been waiting to see Tony Stark interact with Doctor Strange.
And
Like,
it
the first time you
does
see
not disappoint.
at all. It's like, are you selling tickets or something? It's
So good.
Later, when he's leaning on his magic urn and Doctor Strange slaps him with the cloak, which his name is...
I can't remember.
I cannot remember the cloak's name. It's such a shame.
The Cloak of Levitation is all that I know.
Yeah, that's what it is
Is
in
it
the
that?
comics.
It doesn't have like
I
a
don't
cool
think it has
name
like a...
in Doctor Strange, the movie?
I can't remember.
In the movie, he says, the Cloak of Levitation. It's a fickle thing.
I'm going to call it Dan.
There you go. That'll work.
Because it's like a dog. It's so cute.
Yeah.
But when it slaps him, and he's like, I'll allow that.
It's like, are you seriously leaning on the cauldron of the cosmos?
Yeah. Or when they start telling him, like, we don't much prefer your Ben and Jerry's flavor. We like Hulka Hulka burning love.
Hulka burning fudge.
Hulka Hulka burning fudge. That's it.
That's a thing?
Honestly, Doctor Strange v. Iron Man is amazing. Everything about their interactions is perfect because Doctor Strange gets Tony Stark in a way that Tony Stark probably doesn't even get himself, because Doctor Strange has been that egotistical prick before.
Exactly.
And he is on the other side of it. He's enlightened now, which to an extent Tony Stark is. They're just different versions of that egotistical style of person. They're both doing really good stuff, but Doctor Strange has dropped the ego and Tony Stark has upped it.
Yeah, I mean, he can't get rid of it. Like, he
I
has
love
this.
Did you seriously just say hitherto since unheard of?
Yeah.
And I love that that Wong breaks down the stones for us in that scene. That is so important because they've been hinted at, they've been talked about, but he really gives literally the most perfect 1.5 minute explanation of the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And the colors are all very vibrant so that you know when the stones are being used. Very well done.
Yeah, like you said, it's very easy to understand. Like, at the time of the Big Bang, it released the 6 stones that pretty much represent every part of existence.
Right. We lost the flat earthers in that explanation, but other than that, it was... Sorry, guys. Please continue listening to the podcast.
That's another podcast.
I also liked them having to fill... The running joke of the whole movie of them filling Banner in on what he's missed. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's really funny and sometimes it's sad, like in this scene where he has to tell them, like, I don't know where Vision is. And Banner's like, what, you lost another one? And he's like, I didn't lose him. He's different. He's gone. And he's like, well, who can find him? And he's like, probably Steve Rogers. Yeah. And then he pulls out that old Nokia flip phone, which I'm going to assume is just because it's a burner phone.
Yeah.
They're rich enough to burn iPhones, though, but anyways.
Has anyone tried calling the number that shows up in there?
Why
Because it's
would
not
I do
a
that,
555 number.
Brad, have you done this?
I didn't think about it.
I haven't done it.
Of course you didn't think about it. That's crazy.
I'm going to do it after this podcast.
A lot of if it's a real looking number in a movie, 9 times out of 10, they probably have that number hooked up to some sort of like little Easter egg thing. They did it in Jessica Jones. You could call alias
and you would get her office voicemail.
So I'm wondering if they did anything with the number that pops up on there, because it's not a 555.
Interesting. I will do that after this
I didn't
podcast.
even look at the number, to tell you the truth. I get stuck on the Nokia flip phone situation, and I don't go past that.
Yeah, I just look at the name Steve Rogers, and I'm like, just call him, Tony. Yeah. Just call him.
Let me tell you guys, if I had Steve Rogers' number...
But
I would call it.
Before we move on, there's this one line that Doctor Strange gives to Tony. Tony's he's like, "What do you do besides making balloon animals again?" And Doctor Strange is like, "Protecting your reality, douchebag." I love that. It just works so good. And right after that scene, the Black Order come in on the ship,
and they stop Tony from calling Steve, which is so sad in hindsight. Because if he would have been the one that makes the call. Because he's about to press send on the call, and then the house starts to shake because something's happening. I'm glad he doesn't,
though, because their reunion in Endgame is going to mean so much more, because that means that they haven't had any contact since Civil War, period.
Yeah, I get a little teary-eyed when I see them shaking hands in the one preview I've allowed myself to watch.
That's if it's even in the movie.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I saw the Russo brothers say in an interview that scene wasn't in the movie, and one of them looks at the other... And I can't tell if he's messing with the guy, because the guy's like, my favorite scene in all of the trailers has been this. And then I think it's Anthony says, so about that scene, it's not actually in the movie. And it either could be them masterfully messing with him or telling the truth about it.
That's why I'm not even watching the previews, because I feel like they're digitally altered, they're changed, they're edited in such a way. Like, I'm just going to show up, I'm not going to know what's going on, I'm going to wear my diaper, and I'm going to enjoy the film. I will not be wearing a diaper. This is a joke.
I love seeing Spider-Man on the bus.
Oh, God.
Ned is so cool. I need you to make a distraction.
Holy shit, we're all going to die.
He probably just needed to point at the spaceship, and I would have given him the same reaction.
And the Stanley cameo. God, I miss Stanley so much, man.
And it's a good one. It's a really good one in this movie.
Yeah. I hope they shot his for Endgame before he passed.
I feel like they did.
I know that they shot a handful of them.
Yeah, this is his last
I will probably
cameo.
always think the one in Captain Marvel is his best one, though. That, like, shout out to Mallrats, I think is so good.
It's so good.
I cried. Because I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan, so I cried during that scene.
The one that, even though it's not MCU technically, the Into the Spider-Verse one is so good. And it was the first one that we got after his passing. Yeah. And so that scene wrecked me, because not only are you dealing with the death of Peter Parker, you then get this scene with Stan Lee right there. It always fits eventually.
Yeah.
It's such a good scene.
Yeah, man, it hurts, but I mean, he'll always be remembered throughout all of these films.
We're just not going to name our kids Stan.
No, not at all.
I really do wish he had a cooler name so I could name my kid after him, but I'm just not saddling my kid with Stan.
So, Doctor Strange, Tony, and Bruce, they go outside, and they start to confront the Black Order. And Bruce tries to transform into the Hulk, and Hulk just does not want to do it. And for the longest while, a lot of people speculated that Hulk was just scared. You know what I mean? But when you listen to the commentary track, the Russos say that Hulk is just pissed off and tired of people only want to see him when shit hits the fan, pretty much. And he's like, I'm not helping you anymore. You don't talk to me. No one involves me in anything else. You just want me when shit hits the fan, and I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? I thought it was interesting.
It's such a good juxtaposition after Ragnarok, where we get a thinking, speaking Thor who has emotions, and you really get to know not Thor, Hulk. You really get to know Hulk as his own character, Hulk as he exists without the Banner element. And, like, who's to say that after sharing Banner's body and part of his psyche for that long, Hulk isn't smart, you know? I mean, we get there in the comics. We get Professor Hulk. So I did take it that way in the movie. I took it to be, he's like, do not call me again just to punch somebody. Like, I just got my ass whooped on that ship. I'm not coming back out until somebody gets me a shawarma. You guys don't call me when you're getting shawarma. What I didn't like was the people who thought it was Loki. Do you remember that weird fan theory people thought that Loki had survived and because he's a shapeshifter, had shifted into Hulk right before Heimdall sent.
That's stupid.
It was so stupid. Watch this be true in freaking Endgame, and I'm going to have to apologize to 3 people I don't talk to anymore. But they're just such a dumb thing. Like, very obviously, Hulk's just having a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony just always has the best lines. When Ebony Maw and I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep calling him Black Dwarf.
I know, because
did they say what they call him in this movie?
They don't.
The marketing for the movie called him Cull Obsidian.
Cull Obsidian,
right?
Which is
actually
another name for the Black Order in a couple of different. Oh my God, nerd alert! Couple of different versions of Marvel Comics. Thanos either has the Black Order or the Cull Obsidian. Okay. I just think it's a good move not to call him the Black Dwarf.
Yeah.
Because also he's massive.
Yeah, he's huge.
And he has a black uniform, but he's like a weird, modeled gray look to him. If you really look at his body. It's the same thing with Proxima Midnight. Should be blue.
Yeah. I mean, she's pretty blue.
She's very white, isn't she?
I mean, it's like gray and blue, right?
Grayish, bluish, yeah.
They did a great job. I'm not knocking them. They did a great job. But they didn't really call anybody by their names.
They put the actual horns on her rather than having the headdress.
Them growing out of her. That was super cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. And I love Tony's line, "I'm sorry, but Earth is closed today."
He delivers it perfect, too.
He does. RDJ is just so good. Get lost, Squidward. I just love it.
That one is my favorite in that whole scene.
They changed that in the international versions of the movie because Squidward is known as different names in different countries, and they changed it to Voldemort.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to see this right now.
I love that even better.
But yeah, Bruce is trying to transform, and it's this huge joke for impotency.
Dude, you're embarrassing me in front of the wizard.
How cool is the nanotech suit?
The nanotech suit is
when he pulls
killer.
The strings. Oh, it's so cool.
I do love when he pulls the strings and he has a form-fitting hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got to get me one of those.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes you want to wear a hoodie, but you want to look good, and hoodies are just too baggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I absolutely love the new nanotech suit when he blasts what did you say his name was? They said in the market
Obsidian Cull.
Yeah, when he blasts the guy
and
the pieces come out of the back of the suit, it's just so sick. I love that they're able to, with every single film, they're able to make a better suit than the last time.
Now, I'm assuming that was Wakandan tech that was built into his suit.
I bet it's not.
You think?
Honestly,
I don't think
I bet
it is.
Tony at some point Tony was just asked for some Wakandan tech and they laughed in his face, and then he was like, "I'll make it myself."
Yeah, I don't. It
just reminded me so much of the way that Black Panther's suit goes with the nanotech and everything.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I would love to see that interaction between Shuri and Tony, though.
I bet she laughed in his face.
She should.
Yeah. I love her so much.
She's so good.
She's amazing.
A little bit of trivia, though. The guy that plays Obsidian Cull was the one that they used for all of the movement capture for Hulk's scenes in earlier Avengers movies.
Interesting.
Okay. That's cool.
He's a pretty well-known stuntman. Most of the guys playing, except for Proxima Midnight, most of the guys playing the children of Thanos are stunt people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Pulling that Ray Park move into acting. Carrie Coon is Proxima Midnight, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I love when Spider-Man joins the fight.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I love him.
Tom Holland just gets it, man. I feel like the Russos just get it too. Spider-Man, he's just a kid with these extraordinary abilities. So when he says this thing that he says, it's yeah, this is the shit a little kid would say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It just works.
This movie, I watched it today to just be really fresh. And this movie was I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan. I just don't have any feelings towards Spider-Man. This movie was I think I'm going to rethink my Spider-Man thing. I think I'm going to try to watch Homecoming.
Homecoming's so
not that
good.
I don't dislike Spider-Man. I've just never been that interested. But Tom Holland has some of the best lines and some of the best fight scenes. And later on the spaceship, the suit he has is amazing, So I love when he comes flying in. I love when he's asking Tony Stark what's going on. And I think Tony breaks it down for him somewhere. He says something like, "This guy's from space and he needs this wizard."
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's so funny. And he's like, "Get the wizard, kid."
These guys are from space and they're trying to get a magical stone from a wizard.
That's it. It's so good. I just dropped my phone.
I love that they justify the Iron Spider suit, like, because he needs it to breathe in space. I love that it's actually justified, and it's just not this thing because it's just a new suit. You know what I mean? I love that there's a purpose for it. So I love all of that stuff. I love having him on the ship, and he's like, I should have stayed on the bus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You should have stayed on the bus. You're 16 years old. Go home.
Yeah, like, I mean... And it's just unfortunate what happens to him later, but I mean, it could have happened to him while he was still on Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. That's the thing, too, I think that it comes down to is he would have been dusted no matter what, so...
Yeah, at least he was willing to fight.
Yeah, at least he was willing to fight. And I think, like you said, he's a kid, and what's more exciting, he's so excited to be able to say, we're the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, he just is exactly what you would think of a 17, 18-year-old, 16-year-old boy who has those superpowers. And I think Tom Holland is right in that age range, too, so it really works. It's not like a 30-year-old man.
Isn't he like 20 or 21 or something?
Yeah.
He's 22 right now. I looked it up on IMDb, which means he was probably around 17, 18 when they were filming Infinity War. Yeah. Which is great because at a certain point, a 30-year-old playing a 16-year-old doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Because they're too far removed from the facial expressions and like what he does and everything. He brings a lot of levity to the movie because this is a very dark, depressing film, but it also manages to be just as funny.
Yeah. You ever seen that really old movie, Aliens?
And this big, that part, the whole ship scene is amazing.
Yeah.
But also this big fight scene, again, it's probably 10, 15 minutes of the film, and it feels like 3 because it's done so well. And you've got Banner still like arguing with Hulk to come out and Iron Man having to protect him. And then the part where the cape has saved Doctor Strange from Maw and is flying and a passed out Doctor Strange around the city with Spider-Man chasing after him. And Maw looks like the freaking Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
He's really ridiculous to look at in a good way. And then they're beaming up onto the spaceship. It just all happens really fast, but it's really well done.
Yeah, and they take off in the spaceship, and Bruce gets the flip phone. Call Steve. Love that. And
can you imagine Steve on the other end? He's like, "Oh, hey, Bruce.
Yeah, it's been a while,
Where you
buddy.
Been at?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Do you want to talk to Natasha? She's here. No, you good? You good? Yeah, we're all good on that, buddy."
I really hope that after Endgame they can get together.
Oh my God, me too.
Do you really?
No, I don't care at all. I want to know what's been going on between her and Captain America while they've been off for 2 years fighting
Absolutely
a secret.
Nothing.
I mean, whatever. I doubt that highly.
I don't think anything has happened because of the dialogue that she has in Age of Ultron. Like, she is surrounded by soldiers and fighters all the time. She wants something different. If she's interested in a man that has the intellect as Bruce Banner and the type of innocence that he has, in a sense, I think that's the kind of person she wants to be with. I don't think that she had anything with Steve during that time.
I disagree, because I've seen Steve.
I mean, we all need to get laid.
I assume nothing. Don't think anything romantic happened between them. I think they're going to be very tight, the way that she and Hawkeye are. I just would like a little mini movie about what they got up to, you know, when we'll get to that part later. But I just think the time for she and Banner has passed.
I don't think so.
Well, but you also think that Grimace is the hero of this movie, so.
You mean Lord Thanos?
Oh my God!
Again, our savior. But then we cut to space.
I'm sad for you.
We cut to space and we get the introduction to the Guardians, which is so cool.
Do you know what my note is? Big battle, go to space. That's my note. What the hell is wrong with me, you guys?
I love the introduction of the Guardians. Drax is asleep. Rocket's yawning. Groot's playing Defender.
I love teenage Groot so much.
I love that Gamora's like still lip syncing and everything with the song and everything. It shows that she's kind of let herself go a little bit.
She's having a good time.
Yeah. I mean, after all the terrible things that she's done, and we'll get into this a little bit later on in the film for some scenes that were actually deleted from the movie.
Oh, yeah?
There's so many things about her that I want to know more of, and I kind of want to see a Gamora TV show.
I would love it.
Like a mini-series.
I would love it.
Watch that.
Gamora is such an interesting part of the comic world. And the time that she did spend actively working for her father, Lord Thanos.
Thank you.
I just said it to be a dick. I don't even think it's real. She's very similar to Black Widow in that she's on the opposite side of being a really, really bad person. But she's allowed herself to fall in love with Peter Quill and embrace a little bit more levity and a little bit more fun in her life and build this ragtag family. And I think that a Disney Plus show on Gamora would be awesome. And it also would mean that we'd have to bring her back from the dead, because I don't want to see 10-year ago Gamora. I want to see her now, and I would love that.
I mean, that's what I want to see. I want to see Gamora from 10 years ago. I want to see Gamora and Nebula, but I want to save that because I want to get into that a little bit later. But they come out of hyperspace and they see all of the wreckage and everything.
Well, and it's such a great intro to Guardians because I feel like the Russo brothers might have thought there might be people who are watching the Avengers films, but they didn't see the standalone films, right? That's a possible world that we're in. And they give us the most perfect glimpse into who the Guardians are and what their movies are all about in a 4-minute scene. It's gorgeous, you know?
And I think that's how you should make a film. Yes. Though. You shouldn't just assume that everyone else has seen all of the other movies. So I think you should have those scenes that kind of explain things for those people who are coming in fresh. Because there are people that don't watch these movies.
Yeah.
That just see the big ones.
They only see the big event ones,
I had a colleague at work the other day look at me across his computer and go, there are 22 Avengers films? And I was like, no, there are 3. And he was like, no, this says 22. And I was like, there are 22 Marvel movies. Yeah. And if you like me the way that you say you do, listen to the podcast. I'm done here. But no, I mean, there's people who don't realize that maybe Guardians was a solo film. This might be their first intro, and it's wonderfully done. And that moment where they come out of maybe hyperspace and see all of the wreckage, I think in their own way, they all kind of realize this is a really big thing.
Yeah, and when you look at Gamora's face, you can tell that she instantly knows that this was Thanos.
That's what I thought, too.
Her father's work.
Exactly.
Well, and Drax, too, I think they don't really ever spend a lot of time on Drax's backstory, which is very sad in the comics, but his planet was decimated the way Gamora's was. And he was on the saved side, but his wife and his child were on the slaughtered side. But they've made Drax so funny in the films. I'm not even mad about them not talking about him. He's so good.
Speaking of the humor, when Thor gets inside of the ship, that's some of my favorite stuff.
That is the best angel. Shit. Yeah. It looks like a pirate and an angel had a baby.
It's like, this isn't a dude. You're a dude. This is a man.
Yeah. And I love when Gamora's just kind of tracing his muscles while he's in. He's like, stop touching his muscles.
I just love Mantis too. Mantis is just so funny.
She's so great.
Yeah, she brings her own humor to it. She wakes up Thor and everyone has their guns drawn. And if you look closely, she just has her hands together like she has a gun in her.
She does that a couple of times in the movie though, where she does weird hand motions to mimic having a gun or to mimic having... It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's just so good. And seeing Chris Pratt work off of Chris Hemsworth, it's just all gold, man.
He's trying to copy me.
Are you mocking me? Are you mocking me? Yeah, my note is literally, let's all discuss how much this scene rocks.
Yeah, it's just...
Because there's so many elements of it that is so good. When Gamora tells Thor that Thanos, or when Rocket tells Thor that Thanos is Gamora's father, and you think he's getting upset, and he just grabs her shoulder and he's like, I had to kill my sister when she comes from hell. It's tough, man. Just all of that. It's so funny.
Yeah, and I love this next bit of dialogue too. It's a really smart way of telling the audience where all the Infinity Stones are.
Yeah, really smart.
He talks about Xandar being decimated, how Thanos got the Space Stone from him, how the Time Stone and the Mind Stone are safe on Earth, and no one knows where the Soul Stone is. And then you get that look on Gamora's face where she clearly knows. And the only other place he can go is to nowhere where the Reality Stone is.
Yeah. Because, of course, that's when he also tells him that the Avengers are protecting the stones, the 2 stones on Earth. And they're like, who are the Avengers? And he's like, Earth's mightiest heroes. And Mantis goes, like Kevin Bacon? And he's like, he might be on the team. I haven't been down there in a while.
Chris Hemsworth is just so good.
So funny.
With his humor. I'm really glad that he was able to have more of a say in what Thor does when it came to Ragnarok, so you could put more of his humor into it. It just works brilliantly.
I love how he calls the Guardians morons because Rocket called them morons.
I said the same thing. I was like, surely he's heard this word before, but he just goes with it. He's like, good game to you, morons, or whatever he says. I don't think it's good game, but, bless me.
Farewell to you, morons.
It is. It's a really great way of kind of explaining where everything is. And later when the Guardians meet like Tony Stark and Spider-Man, they already have an idea of who the Avengers is. The movie's just really, really good at dropping the right chunks of script into the right part so that it doesn't feel like overwhelmingly explained, but nothing feels left behind or unexplained.
Definitely.
So I mean, kudos to them, because this is 10 years and 21 movies. And they did it seamlessly, bringing them all together on the film.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you give a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the Russos spend months planning absolutely everything, different outcomes with different characters, and then they flesh out what they want to use. You know what I mean? They actually take the time to flesh these things out. And I'm glad that Kevin Feige allows them to do that. It's not just make this movie now so we can make this money. It's also about creating great storytelling, which is really important. And Thor, Groot, and Rocket get into the pod, and they're heading towards Nidavellir.
Oh, you said that great.
Thank you.
I was worried about having to say it on the podcast.
In order to find a new hammer, which I'm really glad it ends up being Stormbreaker, because that's some of my favorite stuff from, I believe it's Ultimate Avengers, when he has Stormbreaker, so I love all of that stuff.
Because Jane Foster has the hammer.
Yeah. So I love spoilers for the comics.
She's a different character already now.
Yeah, she is the new Valkyrie now.
She is the new Valkyrie, yeah. So she was just side note, Jane Foster, for everybody who thinks she's dumb and didn't like her in the first two movies, she does become Thor.
Yeah.
I like her. She is written very poorly.
She, again, 1 and 2, Thor 1 and 2, just misused everything.
Yeah, which is, I'm glad she's gone from the franchise, honestly.
If I were Natalie Portman, I would have stepped away too.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
I have a feeling it was like an amicable breakup where she just kind of threw deuces.
It was a mutual dumping.
Yeah. I feel like they were like, I don't think this is working. And she was like, I'm so glad you said that, because I also feel like this is not working. And I'm going to go join the Peace Corps.
Yeah.
Because she's doing great stuff.
How does the Wanda and Vision relationship work for you guys in this movie?
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's
weird because he's like a robot technically.
Yeah.
But he's more than a robot.
Yeah, it's easier when he has flesh.
Yeah.
Like, because when the first scene that starts in the film is Paul Bettany as Paul Bettany. And so he's not the red, like, Vision. And I don't know, like, I guess my problem with it is that he's not human.
Yeah.
But other than that, I do think that they have some chemistry together. I find Elizabeth Olsen gorgeous.
Yes.
I think she is so beautiful, and I think she uses her face really well when she's acting. She conveys emotion on her face. I can understand, given her loss right at the moment when Vision is born, essentially, her kind of clinging to Vision. I don't necessarily understand Vision's love for her.
I think it's because they're kind of tied through the Mind Stone. They have that kind of connection, but I just feel like there was something in between that would show us why they work. You know what I mean? Instead of just, hey, they're in a relationship and they go on vacations in Scotland and
is that Scotland that they're in there?
Yeah, they're in Scotland.
Edinburgh, right?
There's some exposition to that in Civil War, correct?
Is there? I don't remember.
There's like some creepy flirting, because in Civil War I found the whole thing kind of weird.
You're right.
Yeah,
when he's
the
making
paprika stuff for
her. And you kind of get the sense that she's kind of trying to figure out, does he like me? Like, how can he even like me? So by the time you get to Infinity War, it plays better. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I just wish there was more explaining the relationship. It's kind of the Black Widow Hulk thing where it just kind of comes out of nowhere. They do have more scenes together that explains it for me.
They have a little bit more build up too, because there's a bit of connection between them in Age of Ultron. Sorry, I just snapped my fingers to just Thanos on the podcast. They have a little bit of a connection in Age of Ultron, and then they have some nice scenes together in Civil War, which I want to watch again too. I'm running out of time to just like live my life. I I'm fine with it. I don't get his attraction to her.
I mean, she's beautiful, and
she's beautiful.
He's sentient, and I mean, like we talked about on the Age of Ultron podcast, like sometimes you fall in love with people at work.
Yeah, I fell in love with someone at work.
Yes, I mean,
they're both connected through the Mind Stone.
I never thought about that. That's a great point, that the Mind Stone would actually be that connecting force, and he would see the Mind Stone in her and love her. Then the power, like that, actually is very beautiful.
Because he has that scene where he's like, you know, I don't really know what this is. Is that in Civil War or is that in Infinity War?
That's in this, yeah.
Okay. It's been a couple of days since I watched it, but yeah, that to me, whenever he's talking about that, he doesn't know exactly what the Mind Stone is and what it's making him become, like what he is. To me, it's easier to buy than like the replicant relationships in the Blade Runner series,
right?
Like which has its whole bag of politics that goes along with it. But I don't have that kind of weird feeling that I get about the humans and replicants that I do in the Blade Runner series between Vision and Wanda.
Yeah, so they're walking around Scotland and they see the...
It looks like a good date.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that, man. He's treating her right.
Yeah.
He asked her to stay with him.
Yeah. He's like, what if I never go back? You know, like, I've made commitments to Tony, you've made commitments to Cap, but we haven't made any commitments to each other, which is sweet. You know what I mean? Like, and I love
like
that.
When he's like, he's like stumbling over his mouth, just like kind of a real human person would if they were trying to ask someone if they wanted to go steady. You know what I mean? Like, because, you know, the DTR is hard. The define the relationship conversation is difficult for anyone. And it's a cute little scene.
Yeah, it is.
Mainly cute because Paul Bettany is so talented.
He's fantastic.
They're great in that scene, and it helps that they've been on films together before, so they can kind of have that built-in chemistry together.
It also helps that she dropped the accent.
But
thank fuck.
There's some... I did still find her speaking voice problematic in this film. Like, because she did try to do a little bit of an accent on the end of some of the words, almost like someone who is coming out of the accent, you know? Like if you have a bit of an accent, but you want to sound totally Southern at work, you know, but you would still have a little bit of a flair on the end. Mm-hmm. And I still was like, kind of like, okay, guys, you made a mistake in Age of Ultron, let it go.
Yeah. I get that.
Did they have the accent at all in Civil War? Does anybody remember?
Yeah. She has the accent a little bit.
Okay.
It's not nearly as defined as it is in
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron, but it's there.
Yeah.
Get it out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they see the ship on the news with the Black Order, and they see that Tony Stark has gone missing, and Vision is gonna go, and then he's stabbed right in the back by Corvus. Mm-hmm. And then again, we were talking about it before. It's like, well, I don't get it. Like, why didn't he just phase?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But we then learn later on that it actually hurts him. It destabilizes him, so he's unable to use his powers. And on the commentary track, the Russo brothers were talking about the fact that when you have a character like Vision that's pretty much omnipotent, you need to find a way to like bring him down to earth, essentially, whether it's emotionally or physically. And for Vision, they chose to do it physically. And I feel like it works when you listen to that commentary. Mm-hmm. But if you're not sure, then in the movie, it just kind of like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like,
in the movie, you just accept it and move forward. It's not necessarily explained.
Yeah, because in Age of Ultron, Vision is like Jesus.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants.
And in this movie...
He can make clothes. He can make a cloak. Like, why couldn't he just heal his own body up? You know what I'm saying?
And I love this entire sequence because Wanda kicks ass in this movie.
She's so awesome. It shows that she's one of the most powerful people in the Avengers, which we already knew that she was crazy powerful, but good God, does she just like rip through some people in this?
Yeah,
like,
I think it's the first time we see that she knows how powerful she is. You know what I mean? Because in Age of Ultron and Civil War, she's still coming into those powers. In this movie, she has some killer fight sequences where she does some awesome stuff.
Yeah, and I love that she's able to fight both of them and save Vision at the same time. And she has her back against the wall, and she has that really cool moment where she pretty much just stands up against them, and then we get the train passing by, and we get the first look at Cap.
With a beard, which everyone loves. My girlfriend loses her mind. I accidentally, you're sitting, and it's fine because it's healthy to think other people are attractive. Sitting next to my fiance watching the film, the train goes by, Cap steps out of the dark, and I went, and then I was like, I love beards, babe. And I reached over and touched his beard. Like, this is just the type of man I like. It is, as I know you're listening. I love that beard, babe.
I mean, have you seen Chris Evans? Like,
he's seen him. He knows.
The guy's great.
He does the same things when we have Margot Robbie on the TV, and I give it up to him. She's hot. Like, come on. Yeah. There's no chance that Chris Evans is going to hear this podcast and ask for my number.
Never say never.
Honestly, if he does, I'd ask him to sign a shield, and then I would go home, to my fiance.
When this episode goes up, I'm going to tag him in this podcast on
Twitter. He knows he's hot. You know what I'm saying?
But we get Cap, we get Falcon, we get Black Widow.
Again, Black Widow fighting so awesome.
We get the music cue.
Yes, Alan Silvestri's score. I just love it.
We also get my second favorite Captain America costume. I love his costume. I love this costume in Infinity War.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I can't wait for Endgame. 5 more days, depending on when you listen to this podcast. But the next scene is Black Widow's pretty much saying, like, we don't want to kill you, but we will. You know what I mean? And Proxima's like, you won't get a second chance, and they let him escape.
That's incorrect, Proxima.
Yeah. And it's very incorrect.
It's such a great fight scene. Like, they work so well as a team, and then they have that conversation with Vision and Wanda. That's later on the plane.
Yeah, it's just a little bit later. Yeah. But the scene immediately after that is the Gamora flashback, which I love.
I love that little girl who plays small Gamora. I guess you can paint any child green and it would look like Gamora, but I feel like that kid really has a strong resemblance to Zoe Saldana.
Definitely.
And I love that interaction between her and Thanos, because I mean, you do see this softer side of Thanos.
Oh, Jesus.
It's like, he is our savior.
Oh my God.
He is here to save us all.
You people listening can't see these ridiculous hand motions that James is doing. This is genocide, James. He murders half of her planet, including her mother. And then, like, if I was like a district attorney, I'd be like, add kidnapping on there because he's taken this kid.
Billions more will survive because of what our savior has done for us.
Gotta stop, man. That is so frustrating.
So Gamora goes with him, and Thanos
people are gonna be like,
I
can't listen to this anymore. This guy loves genocide.
Thanos gives her the blade, and he's like, he talks about how important balance is. You know what I mean? Tip the scales too much in either side, and then I can't remember exactly what he says after that. And then he tries to shield her from pretty much having the Chitauri killing half the people on the planet.
It was cool to see the Chitauri in action again since the Avengers, and to watch. We've never come up with a name for that Chitauri worm monster, but it kind of flying around and
space worm.
We'll call him Frank.
So we got Dan the Cave.
We got Dan the Cave. We got Frank the Space Worm.
But I think those scenes are really important. It really shows what Thanos has always done, what his plan is. It explains all of that in just a couple of minutes. Like, the storytelling in this movie is just so good. There's so much to tell, and the Russos do it so well. Is there anything else that you guys picked up from that scene?
I want to make a note and point out that this occurs 45 minutes into the film.
Yeah.
So everything we've just discussed has happened in 45 minutes. That is a very succinct storytelling plan, because you've got in almost every character that's going to be in the film. You've explained pretty much where they are. We have to, I think the only one left to introduce is War Machine.
And Black Panther.
That's right. They haven't gone to Wakanda yet. But I mean, that's a lot that they've gotten through in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's crazy.
It immediately cuts to that conversation between Gamora and Peter on the. It's not even called the Milano anymore. It's called the Benatar. It's going to be called that in Endgame. But they're on the ship.
The Benatar is the name of the ship, like Pat.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it so much.
That's so awesome.
So and when they cut, it's Gamora with the same blade that Thanos gave her all those years back. So really good storytelling. And I love Zoe Saldana's acting in this scene where she's telling Peter that if Thanos captures me, you have to kill me. Swear on your mother that you'll kill me.
And you can see how their relationship has matured and come together so much more since the first 2 Avengers movies. It's nice. It's nice to see them both, like that with one another, because they've both such interesting characters with such interesting pasts. So you do root for them. Unfortunately, it doesn't go great, but
yeah, it's unfortunate. And I love the way that the Russos are able to take these extremely dramatic moments and then cut the tension with a little bit of humor. Because you get Drax eating that, whatever it's called.
Zarg nuts or something. Yes. I think it's Zarg nuts. I've mastered my stillness to the point where I appear invisible. But he's eating nuts.
So good.
And then Mantis comes out and he's like, "Hi, Drax." It's like, damn it.
He's been there for an hour.
It's
so
good.
funny. And, God, I love Drax.
Yeah, he's so good. All of his lines in this movie are great.
Well, and he has one of the best lines in the film, and it was actually improv.
Yeah, the why do you want
better? Why is Gamora?
So we immediately cut to nowhere. So guys, if you're listening, this film is flying by. There's so many different cuts. There's so many different places that we have to go. And the Guardians immediately go straight to nowhere. And we get that really cool scene where Thanos is using the Reality Stone to make everything appear normal. And we
get to see the Collector again.
Yeah. I love the Collector. Always a fan of Benicio del Toro's crazy-ass Collector. I mean, just perfect. Just like Jeff Goldblum was perfect for
the Grandmaster.
Like, you just got to get the weirdest people and put them in these roles because it works.
Yeah, and I love seeing Gamora crying after she thinks that she killed Thanos. Like, it hurts because there is a part of her that still loves him and sees him as her father because he took great care of her because he's a great man.
I read it as
here for all of us.
She was so relieved to have this genocidal nightmare out of her life finally that she's like crying. Like, I don't know, like I'm the kind of person that I store up so much stress. Take college finals week. When I would finally do that last final, sometimes I would get to my car and just sob.
What did you think, Brad?
I took it as it being kind of bittersweet, where she was. I think it's kind of a combination of both of what you're saying. Like, there's definitely still some attachment to Thanos there because they were together for so many years, and he probably did treat her well, and the way that he trained her up and everything, she would not be the warrior that she is if it wasn't for his training. But at the same time, she did just do something that is so unbelievably traumatic. She just killed her father, regardless of how he was to her or not.
Yeah,
but she's also achieved something that she's been trying to do for years.
True,
which is kill him. So that's the beauty of Zoe Saldana in that scene too. Is like you can interpret it however you want. I mean, if you're a big fan of Thanos, like James, you can see it as a sadness over killing her father, or relief over having done it, or, so many different things. But no matter what, it is a very emotional scene. And of course, Thanos twists that on her.
Yeah, for sure. And we get the reveal that it's all fake. And he's like, I know you still had,
Yeah, I know you love me.
Yeah. But he just needed to be sure. Because, I mean, to him, Gamora is his favorite daughter. You know what I mean? Like, he really does deeply love her in his own
way,
twisted way. And I love the scene between him and Quill is like, oh, the boyfriend.
Yeah.
It's like, I like to think of myself as the Thanos-killing long-term booty call.
Which, I want to point out, is probably a step down from boyfriend, Quill. I also love when he calls him Grimace.
Yeah.
Because Quill would have been taken from Earth in, like, the 70s.
Yeah.
He just has, like, a whole thing about him that's so funny. Like, his pop culture references are so bad.
Yeah, that's so old.
But, like, Grimace, like, probably 50% of the audience, a sweet 50%, James, the people with the resources, those who have not yet run out of popcorn, they laughed at it, and the other 50% didn't get it, because Grimace isn't really, no one really thinks about Ronald McDonald and his crew anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's so random, but it's perfect. He does, in fact, look like Grimace.
There's a great little Easter egg for Arrested Development fans in that scene also. In one of the cases, you can actually see the blue Tobias over the shoulder of Gamora. And they wanted to get David Cross to actually come and do it, but David Cross isn't a fan of comic book movies, so he didn't come and do it. But there is a Tobias Funke in blue over the shoulder of Gamora in one of the collector's cases.
I wish that they would do a one-shot of just everything that's on Nowhere getting blown up, because the Howard the Duck shout out in the original Guardians of the Galaxy, I was laughing so hard.
And Comet the Space Dog,
yes,
too.
They have so many great things on Nowhere, so...
I need Beta Ray Bill in the next Thor movie.
I know.
I know.
We know he's out there because he's on the statue in
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok, yeah.
I'm trying to remember what the planet is.
Oh, the Grand Master's planet.
Sakaar.
Yeah. Yeah, and, I knew that. Gosh,
they reference. Well, they don't technically reference Beta Ray Bill in the first Guardians, but he's in one of the pods that the Collector has. Mm-hmm. He's in there, so it's really cool that he's out there somewhere free, and I just need to see him in the next movie.
I thought they were doing like kind of a Beta Ray Bill shout out when Vision picked up the hammer.
I thought that as well.
You know, like it just, and not in like this is a character we're going to use as Beta Ray Bill, but it was like a shout out to getting me excited that they might have him in a movie.
There are others that are worthy.
Yeah, that others can pick up the hammer.
Yeah, because the first time I saw that in the comics, I lost my shit. I was like, there's actually someone else that can pick up the hammer. It's crazy, to the point where Odin creates a hammer for him.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the hammer's called, but
I guarantee I never knew it.
Cool. Yeah. So the immediate next scene after that, Cap and everyone else gets to
Wait, you missed the part where Thanos actually takes Gamora.
Yes. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
I don't know. That's like you would think
and
you
it's
would have
in my notes, and I completely crossed over it. Yeah,
tattooed on your heart.
Right? It's so important.
He takes her back into his loving embrace.
Yeah, and the scene where Quill is actually about to shoot Gamora.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And he turns the
guns to bubbles.
Gun into bubbles.
He turns a lot of stuff into bubbles. He might be like a homicidal, genocidal maniac, but the boy loves bubbles. Who doesn't like a good bubble party? You know what I'm saying?
It's fun. Reality can be whatever I want it to be.
I hope that doesn't turn out to be something weird that I don't know about. A bubble party. But
and then he turns like Drax into like these blocks, and then he turns Mantis into like
ribbons.
Yeah, ribbons.
I actually thought Drax and Mantis were dead until he left the scene and they started the Reality Stones nonsense went away. He's having way too much fun with the Reality Stone. I'm going to say that.
Should be having fun.
Because he's killing it. But that scene too, there's two scenes in the movie where people who are in a committed relationship with one another are forced to kill the other one. Mm-hmm. Or think they're about to. And they're just heartbreaking. What the heroes are willing to sacrifice to stop Thanos is so remarkable. Because you have to think, too, all of these people have such bad pasts. That scene, where Thor is on the ship with Quill and Gamora, one of my first thoughts was, this is a ship full of daddy issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because all of them have terrible daddy issues or family issues. But it is kind of heartbreaking to see Quill summon that reserve of hero inside of himself to kill her, and then it doesn't work. Yeah. And the look on her face when it fails is so heartbreaking.
Yeah, and Thanos is like, I like you.
Mm-hmm.
And God, he's so awesome.
You do. You want your, you want your significant father to like you, significant other's father to give you that blessing.
Exactly.
Maybe we can make one of those Infinity Stones into an engagement ring or something. I don't know. Do you think the gauntlet's too gaudy for everyday wear? Oh, what a pleasure this is.
So now we get to the Avengers base in Washington. Mm-hmm. And I love, I can't remember his name, but the actor that plays Thunderbolt. Yeah. Yes. He's so good as Thunderbolt Ross. Mm-hmm. I really can't see anyone else playing that character.
He has that smarmy, better than you attitude just down.
Yeah, he's a dick, man.
He's such a dick.
We'll ever see him as Red Hulk?
Yes.
He's very elderly now.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I think that we've kind of missed the boat on that. Not that he's elderly, but he's much older than...
As Red Hulk, all he would really have to do is do the voiceover, and someone else would do the motion capture.
Did they not have... What was the the Hulk nemesis in the Incredible Hulk? Abomination. Never mind. I was like, wasn't he red?
And then they hinted at Leader at the end with Tim Blake Nelson.
And then they went, we're not going to do any more of these films.
See, I don't know the point. I don't get the point of introducing the Leader when Marvel Studios don't have the rights to the distribution.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't make another Hulk standalone movie. Why bother introducing such a huge Hulk villain that you can probably never use?
Well, I mean, eventually they might have... I bet they thought they would eventually get the rights back and they could do whatever they wanted. And what a great villain would he be?
Like, because Universal and Disney, they have beef. It just doesn't work. Universal will never give up the rights, and they have it forever. They would have to actually give the rights back to Disney, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I don't care about the Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that
it's okay.
there's really good characters in that universe that I would like to see
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't necessarily want another Hulk movie, like standalone Hulk movie.
Unless it is Planet Hulk.
Yeah.
Like a true Planet Hulk.
Like a true Planet Hulk, yeah.
Yeah, but who knows, man. And I love the exchange between Cap and General Ross, where he's pretty much saying that they have balls for just showing up, and General Ross wants Rhodey to arrest them.
And Rhodey's like, okay, on it. And then he just, because they're, what is the word? They're not actually there. It's like a Zoom meeting, but on crack. Yeah.
I love that Zoom meeting on crack.
They are holograms. Thank you, Brad.
The hologram technology is really cool because obviously the technology allows you to walk around freely and actually interact with different things all around the room. I thought that was really, really cool. And I love Cap's dialogue in that scene too. He's like, I'm not looking for forgiveness, and I'm way past asking for permission. Yeah. Like, I love that. Like, this Cap is very different.
This Cap is just bringing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's
got that beard. He's got that dark black suit. He's been on the run with a spy. He's been shacking up with a girl. You know what I mean? Like, he probably shared a hotel room with a girl, you guys. That's crazy.
And Falcon.
Who I love that they gave Falcon so much to do in this movie. I really... Because
give everyone a lot to do, except Bucky. And I'm fucking pissed, honestly.
Yeah, but
Bucky gets like the coolest shot of the movie with him and
Rocket. I was gonna say,
but
like
he has this really cool vibranium arm that he doesn't do anything
James, he got a whole movie.
Not with the vibranium arm,
Winter
though.
Soldier.
That's true.
I want to see him do something with the arm, but we might see it in Endgame. Who knows?
I'm saying we don't know what he's going to do moving forward, and he is going to have his own show, so that's going to be awesome.
That's true.
Yeah. I feel like Falcon has forever kind of gotten the short end of the stick, even with fans who have been like, he's not Cap's best friend. Cap's best friend is Winter Soldier. You know, like,
he can have more than one.
He can have more than one. A lot of people will argue, though, that if you call something your best friend, it can only be one. I believe you can have multiple best friends, but it's a hot topic around the dinner table in my house. I love Falcon. I love when Banner and Nat have that like 30-second, hey, Bruce. And I don't even think he says hello back to her, does he? Or does he just kind of stare at her?
He says hi first, you know.
He walks in and says, you guys look great to me. And then Falcon's like, this is awkward. And Vision, the Vision has the funniest look on his face because he looks from Scarlet Witch to Falcon like, what did I miss?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he has no clue what they're talking about.
And people have this weird theory that Black Widow and Cap have been hooking up, but I don't think
people have this weird theory.
I think it's a weird theory.
Lola has this theory.
It's all over the internet. I'm like, no, it's awkward because at the end of Age of Ultron, she was pretty much pleading for him to come back.
Yeah, and he left her.
He just left
her.
Yeah. But I mean, the Hulk is a different being from Banner, so it's not his fault, and I hope she doesn't hold it against him.
Here's the thing, too, is they survived the snap. And there's obviously going to be some time passed between Infinity War and Endgame. I think they're going to have time to sit down and talk it out. You know what I mean?
Not much, though. But, I mean, who really knows? I don't think there's a lot of time between Infinity War and
I think they can find
Endgame.
10 minutes to have a coffee and a scone and talk about why he left her. You know what I mean? Like, why he flew off. You know?
But there's so many people dead. I don't think there's time.
I don't know, man. What else you going to do? You going to cry?
And I love that Vision is such a hero. Like, he's so willing to, you know, give the ultimate sacrifice to save the entire universe, and telling Wanda that we may need to use your powers because it's connected to the Mind Stone to destroy it if it comes to that. And I love that scene.
I think it's one of the first mistakes of the movie that they don't destroy the Mind Stone. Immediately. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think they made the wrong choice in that scene. It's very Cap to say, like, we don't trade lives. And it brings us to Wakanda and it moves the story along. I think just in hindsight, it's one of those things that if they had made a different decision in that moment, they would have had a different result.
Yeah, but I mean, like what Banner says, like, we may be able to save Vision. Like, he might not need the Mind Stone. Like, the best parts of him is between, like, what him and Tony created with him being a part of Jarvis and Ultron, which, and this is my nerd brain going off on a tangent, but there's a part of me that wants in a future movie for when Shuri figures out how to bring back Vision, for Ultron to somehow hack Wakandan tech, make himself a new vibranium body, and that's my nerd brain. I just hope something like that happens.
I didn't have the Wakandan thought, but I did think, what if they take the Mind Stone out of Vision and the dominant personality is Ultron?
Holy shit.
That's what I thought. Because I was like,
amazing.
Again, like, they kind of wasted Ultron, right? Like, we want more Ultron. He's such a good villain. So what if the Mind Stone is giving Jarvis and all of these different pieces of the personality the power to keep Ultron down? And they take the Mind Stone out and Ultron pops to the surface.
That's really cool because Ultron's original plan was to have Vision's body.
He's just taking his own body back.
That would be the ultimate slap in the face to Wanda, too. To have to fight Vision, knowing that it's Ultron inside. Holy shit, that's awesome.
Yeah, all these people need therapy, though. I'll say that right now. Everybody needs to go to a talking.
And we finally get to Wakanda. And I love it. T'Challa and Okoye give Bucky the White Wolf, gives him the coolest vibranium arm. It's so fucking cool, but he doesn't do anything with it.
He wears it well.
Yeah. He looks great.
He looks great in it.
He uses it to hold
give him
a
that
gun.
Flowing hair, you know what I mean? And there's a couple of shots where his hair is flowing behind him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, I mean, his hair has been growing since Civil War. So, I mean, why cut it?
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Get out. It's hard to grow it out. You know what I'm saying? I had, like, weird bangs for years.
And I feel bad for him because he just wants to relax, man. He just wants to enjoy life. And you can see he's happy in one moment, and when T'Challa approaches him, he's like, where's the fight? And T'Challa's like, it's on its way.
I think, too, that he trusts T'Challa enough to know that he wouldn't have brought him this arm if he didn't think, I really need you. I think he's been given such a sense of safety and peace in Wakanda that that scene I took away, he's rested from it. I actually felt better about how Bucky's been doing. And I love when he says, a semi-stable 100-year-old man, like, he's coming to terms with his mental stability and he's making really good headway. And that just makes the piece of me that loves Bucky Barnes happy.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much tragedy in all of these characters. Like we've been talking about, like, Bucky has essentially been in the sunken place for like 70 years.
Oh, God. Oh, when you say it like that, Jesus,
and he's had
James.
To just sit there and just watch his body kill people. And he could do nothing about it.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so much to all of these characters. And this is the biggest part of the MCU for me. It's just not amazing heroes that I've loved from the comics. These heroes actually have rich backstories, and there's actually a lot to them. And I love it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so the next scene, we get back to Ebony Maw's ship.
Oh, this is one of the coolest scenes.
Yeah, Doctor Strange is being tortured with those really, really cool, like,
micro needles.
Yeah.
Just the way the scene looks, is phenomenal. It looks very much like a splash page. Him in the center of all of those, and Ma is done amazing, but the ship itself, the design is phenomenal.
Yeah.
One of the best ships they've designed. Especially with it being circular the way that it is, from the outside to the inside, it's super great. But when Tony realizes that Peter is still there, too, that is a very funny scene.
Yeah.
I like when Peter says, you can't be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man when there is no neighborhood.
Yeah.
But then he goes, that didn't make any sense. But you know what I mean? I'm like, that made total sense, dude.
Like,
that makes complete sense.
Because, I mean, with great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
Or like he says it in, is it Homecoming? Or no, it's Civil War. When he says, like, when bad things happen and you don't do anything about it, like, you feel terrible about it. So it makes sense that he would be there. And I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the design of the Iron Spider suit. Being perfectly honest.
Really, I loved it.
I love it.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, I feel like it's just okay. I guess I'm super attached to what it looks like in the comics, and it's just not really working for me. But
see, that makes sense because as someone who is not invested in Spider-Man comics, I didn't have any prior knowledge of the Iron Spider-Man suit. Like, to me, I thought this was something they, like, I assumed it came from the comics as everything does, but it was my first time ever seeing something like this. And when those legs pop out and Peter yells, "Whoa, what are those?" and he sticks on the wall, I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
But I don't have any other reference point to it.
The spider legs are so cool. Like, they remind me so much of what it's like in the comics. But I mean, the suit's fine. I also like the fact that it's nanotech as well.
Yeah.
You know, so that's really cool.
I
that's
love when
different.
Tony calls it from the from the Avengers headquarters, and it does that. I love that Peter Parker gets that scene where he has that classic flying costume coming to save you from a fall, because that's very Tony Stark, and it's very clear what an important mentor to Peter Tony is. Yeah. Of course, they're setting that up so you cry even harder later. Oh, yeah. Not that I cried.
I did too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This girl next to me and my girlfriend, she was sobbing. She was audibly really loud in the theater.
No, was it me?
I wanted to lean over and just be like, "It's gonna be okay."
Yeah.
He's gonna be in Far From Home. He's gonna be okay.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny because even though you know that we can probably reverse most of what happened, it's still really painful to watch them die on the screen.
Which is great storytelling because you still care. You know what I mean? And when Ebony Maw gets sucked out into space, like, it kind of sucks to see him go, but he's not the main villain. He's not who we're after. It is what it is. He is a means to an end, and he's gone.
And he freezes into such a delightful...
I wish you guys could see Lola's face right now.
I do every time I see it. I go when I see him because it's so funny.
So what happens after that?
I will say what happens after that is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. One of my favorite lines, which is Doctor Strange and Tony are kind of yelling at one another about what they're going to do. Are they going to turn the ship around, blah, blah, blah. And Peter Parker comes out, and he's like, "I'm Peter, by the way." And Doctor Strange says, "I'm Doctor Strange." And he goes, oh, we're using our made-up names? I'm Spider-Man. I will also say this about that scene, though. I think, in retrospect, this is another one of the Avengers' larger mistakes in the film. Tony flies the Time Stone to Titan simply because he's tired of having PTSD because of the Battle of New York, right? Like, he literally says, "Thanos has been in my head for 6 years. I want to end this. I want to take the fight to them." And Doctor Strange is like, "This is a bad idea. We should not take the stone anywhere near him." And Tony is like, "We're going to do it. We're going to bring the fight to him. We're going to win." Again,
Strange goes along with it, though.
Strange does. I don't know what much choice he has, although he's super powerful, so I don't know why I would say that. But I think, in retrospect, they maybe should not have flown one of the Infinity Stones to where they knew he would be.
See, and my only counter argument to that is them being on Titan, they were really close to getting the gauntlet. Yeah. They were really close.
It slips.
He was so close. But, I mean, you could blame Thanos winning on a lot of characters, because when you really analyze the ending of this film, it's kind of Thor's fault too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want you guys to be very clear in the audience. At this point, I'm laying the groundwork for the argument I make to stop being mad at Peter Quill later.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Oh, man. Dude, am I pissed at Peter Quill. But
everyone is, but I just want to, you know.
It's like, he's only human, I get it.
He's only human, half human. The stupid half of him is 100% us.
Yeah.
That's also a good line in the film. I have some thoughts on that. I think that I'll get there, but I do think I want to just lay that groundwork, kind of point out to people, like, everybody made some mistakes. Go for the head, Thor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that Tony makes Peter an official Avenger. Yeah. And I love the score behind it and the way that he's happy about it, and he realized, holy shit, this is a huge responsibility.
It's a huge responsibility.
This is really cool. You know what I mean? It's a lot of responsibility for a kid, but I mean, as a kid, I want to be an Avenger. I'm 30. I want to be an Avenger right now.
Yeah, I remember that when I hit the age where I realized, like, I was not going to wake up one day as a vampire slayer. I was not going to get an owl notice to go to Hogwarts. Like, I'm past the age where I'm going to, like, be able to knock out some cool shit. If I got bit by a radioactive spider right now, I'd probably just go sterile or die. Like, nothing really awesome would happen. So, like, I get it, you know?
Yeah, and the scene after this is on Thanos' ship with Gamora.
In the throne room. What a gross throne room, huh? Get a maid. It is a great scene, though.
Reality can be whatever he wants.
Reality can be whatever he wants, and he doesn't conjure a rug.
It doesn't look comfortable at all.
It doesn't. It does not. So, he could have IKEA furniture and shit. He just doesn't want it.
So Thanos talks about the fact that he saved Gamora's people. Like, they were on their civilization was on the brink of collapse.
Oh my god.
They were all going to die of starvation if he didn't do what he did.
No.
He saved them.
This is really hard to...
Billions, trillions of people will now live on this planet.
I'm going to start filming you in a minute. You're doing the hand motion. You're, like, really invested.
Very invested.
This is I feel like this has become a Law and Order episode at this point.
And I love the scene where...
that she reminds him that she hated her life with him.
Yeah.
And that all he keeps saying is, I've heard that. Oh, you've told me that. Like... He's heard every reason she's given for hating him, and he still doesn't. I don't even think it's not that he doesn't care. Josh Brolin plays him so well because it's almost as if he still thinks that's a lie. He even reminds her, I remember when these were your ideals. I remember when you fought. Like, he still thinks, and I think one of the reasons why this version of Thanos really does love Gamora is because I really think he thinks he can still persuade her to see it from his side. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, he sees her as that one being of his children that would be as powerful as him. Like, when he tells her, I wish that my hope was for you to sit on this throne. Like, he has Nebula. He obviously hates her. Those are some rough scenes, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I kind of hate her too, though. No, I don't. She's fine. But he has Maw. He has Black Maw. He has Black Dwarf. He has Black Swan. He does, though. He for real does. In the comic, he has somebody called Black Swan. But he has all of these really powerful children. But Gamora is his favorite. And he just has to keep hope alive that Gamora will come around and see it from his side.
So everything you just said only proves that the alternate sequence should have remained in this film. And I'll tell you exactly what it is. So the alternate sequence is Thanos using the Reality Stone to show Gamora what she was like when she accepted her role. There's a scene where Gamora legit brings the head of, like, the king of this civilization, where she says that he didn't want to go along with our ideals. She throws his head to Thanos' throne and said, pretty much like, it doesn't matter what he feels, like, we now have the planet. And she's smiling. She's happy about this. She took his head.
Yeah.
She took his head.
She's brutal.
Yeah, and when he turns off the effect with the Reality Stone, you can see that Gamora is completely broken by this because she sees and she hates what she used to be. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So with all of everything, like you said, like, I feel like that alternate sequence, and it only makes the film maybe in a minute and 30 seconds longer.
Why would they cut that? Because that sounds so awesome.
Maybe they felt by the dialogue that they had in that scene pretty much spells it all out and you didn't need to see it, but I think it would have worked if they did just show the scene.
Yeah.
Because it really worked for me, having Gamora look at herself, being happy with the fact that she took someone's head and completely subjugated the entire planet on her own and brought this person's head to Thanos as a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like there would have been a lot more weight to that. And the end of that alternate sequence is Thanos using the Space Stone to teleport them inside of the room where Nebula is while he's torturing her. So I thought, I don't know, that's my favorite deleted scene from the movie, and I wish it was still in there.
Yeah, that sounds like something that would have made that scene... That is a great scene, and it would have made it even a little bit better.
Yeah.
I definitely need to watch the deleted scenes for this one. I haven't gotten around to that.
Yeah, check it out. Not all of the deleted scenes are great. They're not necessary. Once you see them, it's like, oh, I definitely get why you cut all of these. But that one scene, it just works so well.
Yeah. There's any Captain America stuff?
Not really. No.
I just want more beard.
But the scene where Thanos is torturing Nebula, it hurts, man.
Yeah.
Like, so you get the in front profile, and then we see her from the side where she's pretty much being pulled apart. You know what I mean? And the reason why I want a Gamora miniseries is because the reason why Nebula looks like this is because Thanos used to make Gamora and Nebula fight all the time. Mm-hmm. Every time Nebula uses, he replaces a part of her with android parts.
Right.
You know,
which
so
is
that's
a very
why Nebula
effective
hates
speech
Gamora so
that
much.
Nebula gives in Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, that scene was the first time that all of the sisterly love nonsense in Guardians of Galaxy 2 made any sense to me. And I will say, like, I'm not a huge fan of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. James thinks it's hot trash.
It's garbage.
I love it.
I am in between the two of you guys.
Can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I will say that they needed to get to the point where you would understand why Gamora would give up the location of the Soul Stone for Nebula. And if this movie had occurred right after Guardians of the Galaxy 1, when Nebula is legitimately the villain, I don't think it would have played well.
Yeah.
But once you've had Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where you see that, like, and the dialogue was so gross and sappy in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Like, we get it. You guys want to be sisters and be in love, and you're having a fight. But the payoff is this scene in Infinity War, where you can feel Gamora's pain. And the only reason why Nebula can be tortured in this way is because Thanos punished her for losing to Gamora all of the time. Like, that's a lot, you know? Yeah. It's very dark subject matter. But you understand, even though it sucks that she tells him where the Soul Stone is, you understand that she does it to save Nebula.
Yeah.
And so I have in my notes Thor, Rabbit, and Groot.
Yes.
I just love the fact that Thor constantly calls Rocket Rabbit.
And that Rocket, it's the only time that Rocket doesn't correct anyone.
Yeah.
Because in Guardians 2, Peter Quill keeps calling him a trash panda.
Yeah.
And finally explains what that is in the Earth lexicon, and he gets furious about it. But he obviously just immediately recognizes that Thor is a whole different thing. And he just is like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to tell him. Yeah. And I love the convo between them.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so in the commentary track, the Russos were like, this is their favorite scene in the entire film because you get to see Chris Hemsworth go from being really angry to really sad, and he's still trying to cut all of that sadness with humor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how did that scene work for you, Brad?
I love it. It's so, I don't know, to get that kind of culmination of all of the things that he's lost, like, you see the toll that it takes on him, because Thor's not really a character that we've seen show any signs of weakness before. And to see him kind of trying to mask what's going on with the humor and all of that, it's such a great scene and such a great testament to Chris Hemsworth's range too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he talks, and again, this is a great exposition scene. You know what I mean? Where Thor tells you everything that he's lost. His brother, his sister, his father, his mother. Probably pretty much like 80% of Asgard. Yeah. He's lost so much. And when he's talking to Rocket, he's like, well, what if this hammer doesn't fix everything that you want it to fix? And he's like, what else do I have to lose? You know, and it's just like,
affected
he's just
me.
So broken. He just has nothing left. You know, I mean, the Avengers is his family, but Asgard is his home. That's everything to him.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just painful too to think about the fact that he goes into the end of Infinity War already that broken.
Yeah.
I mean, because all the other characters that survive the snap get to that point, but who is Thor going to be in Endgame? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of the previews. It looks like he's wearing a lot of hoodies.
Yeah, he's just such a broken,
really depressed.
Man. Yeah. So
I love that he speaks Groot.
Yes.
That was a great.
He took it as an elective.
And I love that Rocket tries to cheer him up by giving him one of the eyes that he stole.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then he puts it in his empty eye hole. And Rocket is like, I would have watched that first, man. The only way that I could smuggle it off the planet was in my and then it cuts off. Okay? Thor just put a fake eyeball in his eye socket that's been up Rocket Raccoon's butthole. Let that sink in, y'all. And he looks great, you know. It's one's brown, one's blue, you know, but that has been in a butthole.
Yes. It's like, Rocket, why wouldn't you clean it before you gave it to him?
Why has Rocket been carrying around a butthole eyeball without giving it a Lysol? You know what I'm saying? Let's really, if you got, well, never mind. Let's just move on.
So they finally land on Nidavellir, and we get to Peter Dinklage.
Yes, Dinky Boy.
So
that's what me and my brother call him.
I hate Peter Dinklage in this movie. I hate everything about Peter Dinklage being in this movie.
Really?
I hate it all. I think his dialogue is terrible. I think his delivery is terrible. it just doesn't work for me.
How you gonna love Thanos and hate Peter Dinklage? Who are you?
I like Peter Dinklage and everything else he does. It doesn't work for me in this movie.
It worked for me.
I like him. Yeah.
I got
what
nothing
works
to counter.
For you? Like, tell me. Like I want to know.
Okay, when Thor is jump starting the star and he has to stand and take the full brunt of the star, and Peter Dinklage says, "You might die. You might die." And Thor says, "Only if it kills me." And then I think the way that Peter Dinklage delivers the line, "Well, yes, that is what you might die" means. I think that's perfect delivery. It gets a chuckle out of me every time.
I wish I laughed. I really wish I could
wish you laughed too. You know, because I want you to have that joy in your life.
I rolled my eyes. It was so cringy. It just didn't work, man. But I mean,
different strokes.
Different strokes for different folks. You're over there calling him Lord Thanos. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to deal with the bigger issues here.
Fair enough.
Were you aware of the whole thing on Reddit, the Thanos did nothing wrong subreddit?
Yes.
No.
That happened? Okay.
I'm aware of it.
It was amazing. It was a Infinity War memes page, and it was called Thanos Did Nothing Wrong. The Russo brothers caught wind of it, and they decided on Reddit that they were going to do the snap, that half of the people that were in that subreddit were going to be banned. And so I'm one of the people who got banned from it. And so now I'm in a subreddit called In the Soul Stone. And the two subreddits are not allowed to interact with each other until whatever happens in Endgame is over.
Holy shit,
but
that's so cool.
They actually got Josh Brolin. He was like, "All right, Reddit." And did the video with him snapping.
You didn't hear anything about this?
No.
It was huge. Yeah,
amazing.
it was
How did I
really
miss
cool.
this?
But
That's so
really
cool.
Thanos Did Nothing Wrong would totally have been your subreddit for sure.
Man, that's so cool.
Those are your people, James.
Yes, I need them.
I am obviously not.
I would be a child
because
of Thanos.
I'm not a fan of genocide.
So next we get a super quick scene of Nebula escaping and calling Mantis.
Yeah, which I'm glad that she has Mantis on speed dial.
Right?
Must be in her favorites list. You know what I'm saying? What the hell was that? You guys, did no one else just go, how'd she get that number though?
I don't know.
If Thanos had that number programmed in his phone, why didn't he just call Gamora like 6 months ago and be like, yo, Soulstone? I mean, honestly, like, it's fine. Just move on. You know what I'm saying? But also, no.
And this is one of those deleted scenes where I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely, I get why this was cut out of the film. So the deleted scene here is after Nebula calls Mantis, we cut back to the Guardians receiving the message, and they haven't even left nowhere. And Peter Quill is in the ship. He's sobbing over Gamora.
Sobbing.
He's listening to music. And they've been there for like 5 hours, and apparently Nebula has left like 100 messages, encrypted messages, and then they leave to go to Titan. So it's like, yeah, this doesn't make sense to
you
be.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
this doesn't need to be in the film. Cut it out.
We don't need it, but I'd like to see it. You know what I mean? Like once, but
yeah, watch the Blu-ray. Yeah. It's funny, but it's like this is a waste of 3 minutes. Like, cut it
I just
out.
love the idea of Nebula like calling and calling and calling and calling on a phone number we didn't know she had, while Peter Quill sobs. That's not funny, but it's funny.
And so this is where we get our first look at Titan.
Yes.
May I also comment that it is now an hour and 18 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
I wrote down these things because this is when I paused it to go to the bathroom. I'm really worried about Endgame, you guys. I peed at the 45-minute mark and the hour and 18-minute mark, and I currently have to pee right now. That's what I'm talking about, you guys. This is crazy. But I mean, again, this is a lot of movie that we've put into an hour and 18 minutes. A lot of movies only last an hour and 18 minutes, and they give you less plot than this.
Yeah.
I find it amazing from a filmmaker point of view that they were able to pull this off, because this has never been done before.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy how much they're able to jam pack in it without it feeling overfilled.
Yeah, because it never feels too much.
Yeah. And so they crash land on Titan, and the Avengers meet the Guardians for the first time.
I love it.
Awesome. I love this entire fight. This entire exchange. Like, what did you guys like about that scene?
I liked I liked that they were so evenly matched. Like, one would get the upper hand, so Quill would get the upper hand on Iron Man, and then Iron Man would get the upper hand on Drax, and then Spider-Man would get the upper hand on Mantis, and then somebody else would get the upper hand on him. But it has one of my favorite lines in the movie, which is where Iron Man asks Quill, "Are you from Earth?" And he says, "I'm from Missouri." And Iron Man's like, "That's on Earth." Just the way that Robert Downey Jr. delivers that line and the look on his face when he says it floors me every time. He looks so done with the bullshit at that point.
I love when Spider-Man says, "Don't put your eggs in me."
Don't put your eggs in me. I want to know why they ran with an aliens pop culture joke theme for Spider-Man. Because he makes 3 separate aliens jokes in the movie. And they work. They're hysterical. But I wonder if they went through like a bunch of different pop culture references and then landed on that.
He likes great movies.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy for him. I don't like it being referred to as a super old movie.
Yeah.
You know, that's fine.
But I love the Doctor Strange line. He's like, "Okay, wait, what master do you serve?" And Quill's like, master? "What am I supposed to say? Jesus?" So good. And so obviously we get the Gamora scene where he's like, Quill's like, "Where is Gamora?" And Tony's like, "I'll do you one better. Who is Gamora?" And Jackson's like, "I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?"
And I love the fact that was an improv from Bautista on that, because it's really funny.
It's such a funny line.
"Die, blanket of death."
That one also is funny too. That one is. I love that it was Drax versus Dan the Cape.
Yes.
Like, didn't see it coming. Loved it.
This film is filled with so much dread, but yet there's so much humor.
Yeah.
It works,
like,
too.
Genuine humor.
Yeah.
Like, laugh out loud, I miss the next line jokes, which is why that last 15 minutes where it goes dark, it's really like, when I saw it in theaters, the whole theater was quiet, which you don't get in the South frequently.
Yeah, so the next scene is Tony trying to give the Guardians the play on what they're going to do when Thanos gets to Titan, and Drax and Mantis, they're not even listening to him. He's like, "I tuned out after you said I have a plan."
Oh, what do you guys do? What did she say? We kick names and take ass. Like, don't ever say that again, Mantis. And then she does her hands like this. Face. She goes like this. Like she's trying to be cool.
It's all so good. And then we get Strange going through the 14,605 possibilities.
And how many do we win, James?
1.
Yep.
Love that. Because I mean, that's comics, right? There's always these huge stakes, and of course there's only one way for our heroes to win, and we all know eventually they will win.
But I love too that he gives him that line, because later everything that happens, you're like, okay, but this must somehow play into that one scenario that Strange saw that will get us, you know, like, even though it's very depressing, it does give you a little bit of hope that there is one.
And Benedict's line delivery when he says one is just like, you get it immediately. Like, holy shit, like, we're in some serious trouble.
Stakes are high AF, as the kids would say.
Yeah. So we finally get the scene where Thanos and Gamora get to Vormir. And I love how gorgeous, like, the landscape is. I love just the CGI for this planet. Like, all of these planets, every place that they go to, it looks lived in. It looks real. It doesn't look like just some CGI'd thing. Like, it actually looks like a place that I want to visit. It looks so cool there.
It looks nice. I'd like to honeymoon in Wakanda.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Who wouldn't?
We'll get to that in a minute. There's a couple of, like, in the big fight scene at the end, there's a couple of, like, waterfall scenes, and I'm like, oh, so beautiful. And people are, like, dying around them. And I'm like, look at how wonderful and relaxing that looks.
How cool is the Red Skull return? I did not see that coming.
I had no
whatsoever.
idea it was going to happen.
I had no clue, and me and my brother were, like, literally, like, batting each other's arms. Like, oh, my God, oh, my God.
Because, I mean... It didn't get spoiled. It didn't get leaked. I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I saw Infinity War, like the Friday that, you know, so it comes out like midnight on a Thursday, but then I saw it Friday. So not a lot of people had seen it yet, but no one had said anything about it. It wasn't in any of the trailers. I didn't realize even that it wasn't Hugo Weaving until a long time later.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I could visibly see that it was a different person, and the guy doing the voice is so good as getting it as close to Hugo Weaving as possible.
That guy is on The Walking Dead, or he's probably dead by now. Probably all the characters I liked at one point on The Walking Dead are dead now, but he was a star on The Walking Dead, and Michonne stars in Infinity War, and she didn't know.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like, he was contractually obligated to tell no one.
Yeah. And I love the fact, when we talked about this on a previous podcast, I can't remember what episode it was on, but I love the fact that Red Skull didn't die. I love the fact that he is marooned on this planet, and he is stuck guarding an Infinity Stone, something he's been chasing what might feel like his entire life, only to never be able to possess it. Yeah. Because he does not love anything but himself. So I love that. It is the ultimate torture. And now that Thanos has the Soul Stone, he's just stuck there and he's fucked.
Or is he free now?
I think he's free to grow old and die now that he doesn't have a purpose to live anymore.
I really, and it may not come to be at all, but one of my little secret hopes for the MCU is that now that Thanos has removed the Soul Stone from Vormir and there's nothing for him to be tied to and forced to protect, maybe he's free to go do whatever he wants to do.
But how does he get off the planet, though?
It's probably like some sleds or something. I don't know why I said sleds. I mean, I'm just saying, like, they could work it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they could figure something out to make him, like, I don't know, like, do we think that Thanos is staying on Earth to rule over Earth? Or
no, he goes to somewhere else for sure, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And
I think he has his own planet where he's just chilling.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that when we get to the end. Never mind.
How awesome would it be if like, he had, we didn't know this, but if he had Red Skull come back to Earth at some point, maybe be like his sentinel there on Earth.
Or what if Red Skull is gone in the snap?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's true, too.
That's crazy.
I
just thought of that right now.
Yeah.
Because it is supposed to be all living creatures in the entire universe, including animals and stuff like that. So if Red Skull is technically considered alive, he could be brought into the snap.
Yeah, so I love that entire scene where Red Skull tells Thanos that the Soul Stone requires a soul. The Soul Stone needs for the user to know what kind of power they're wielding. And when Red Skull tells him that he has to give up something he loves, and Gamora's like, you don't love anything. You know, the universe, you thought that you were here to save the universe, and the universe pretty much just spit in your face. Like, you're not going to get what you want.
And she's like, why are you crying? You're that, upset about it. And Red Skull says, he's not crying for himself, child.
Yeah, I love that scene, and you can see, and this is the great part about motion capture, because that is Josh Brolin's performance. Yes, there is a team of people who bring Thanos himself to life, but Josh Brolin himself is giving that delivery, all of the facial expressions that he's giving, that's all him. And when he has to throw Gamora off the ledge and the score kicks in, it's hard to watch, man.
Oh, yeah. It's very hard to watch.
When she's falling... Scene. You guys can tell me if you saw the same thing, but to me it sounds like, because you don't get the audio, but it sounds like she's screaming dad.
I didn't pick up on that. I could watch it again, but I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, like when the camera shows her face as she's falling, it looks to me like she's screaming dad.
Now, I did feel like she was screaming father when he grabs her by the wrist and is pulling her to the cliff. Like, she's either screaming father or dad. But when he throws her over the side, I didn't realize, I didn't think that she was screaming. But either way, it's very impactful that she's calling him that when I don't think she really thinks of him in that way. Mm-hmm. But it's just that realization of, like, you're really going to do this. Like, you are a terrible, terrible person. I think Gamora got done a little dirty in Infinity War because I love her and I didn't want to see her get thrown over the side of a cliff.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a meaningful sacrifice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's one of, to me, it's the hardest death in the whole film because she's so strong, she's so powerful, she's working so hard to stop Thanos, and she's literally in this predicament because she cares about Nebula.
Yeah.
Like, she was dead set. She was like, kill me. Like, I will sacrifice my life to make sure he doesn't get the Soul Stone. But when it came to her life versus her sister's life, she chose her sister. And that's heartbreaking. Especially when you think, like, Thanos will always choose himself.
Yeah.
You know? Like, she's definitely not a product of Thanos. And then they zoom in on her body at the bottom of the ravine, and it is awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. She
Luckily
even
not bloody,
she
but...
even tries to kill herself.
Yeah.
And Thanos doesn't let her do
Turns
it.
it into bubbles yet again.
Yeah, more bubbles.
More bubbles.
Yeah,
that man loves bubbles.
It's hard, man. So from here, this is where the editing starts to pick up a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we jump back to Wakanda, and this is pretty much where we see the first interaction between Banner and Shuri. Mm-hmm. And she's analyzing Vision, and she's like, "Why didn't you just connect the synapses collectively?"
Yeah,
and
like,
he's like,
"Dum-dum,
because we didn't think about it."
And he's just looking at her like, "You're the best."
I don't know what you're saying.
he just has such admiration on his face for her. You know what I mean? And I love when she goes, "I'm sure you did your best."
Yeah.
Good bless your heart. It's like,
yeah, it's exactly like that.
Yeah.
And then the Black Order arrives, and we get I don't even know what to call them. I guess you can call them ships, where they fall all around Wakanda, and one falls onto the shield. And I love that nothing happens to the shield, of course, because Wakandan tech is just the best.
Well, yeah, and that shield has been keeping Wakanda safe and hidden for so long. Like, they're not going to get through the shield. Mm-hmm.
So I've seen people on the internet say, these ships fell from the sky. Why didn't it have the same impact that it did where it's like in Age of Ultron, where Ultron was going to drop a city? It could have caused like a catastrophic event or like try to like destroy part of Wakanda. And I'm like, well, when you really think about it, Wakanda sits on top of a giant meteor made of vibranium.
Yeah.
It's also the difference. It's the difference in physics of dropping something or piloting something in with force. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's just like
also common.
That theory is just like, I just wanted to debunk that. But
I wouldn't even pay attention to that, James. Just rise above it. Bless their hearts.
I love seeing Banner in the Hulkbuster.
Yes.
I love that he actually has a moment to be a hero himself and not relying on Hulk, which is also why it's good that Hulk really isn't in this movie. Yeah. It gives Bruce a chance to be a hero.
And I love Ruffalo's delivery of every single line from within the Hulkbuster suit.
Yeah. You guys are so screwed now.
Particularly that one.
So good.
Proxima Midnight releases the Space Dogs.
Oh, and I had this moment where they're trying to claw through the Wakandan shield, and they're like getting their skin burned off, and they're getting halved, and their entrails are coming out. And I was like, oh, I feel bad for them. My fiance was like, what is the matter with you? He's just like, I don't. He's like, I think this is great. And I was like, oh, okay. But I guess because I was like, oh, they're just like puppies. I got problems.
And I love seeing Falcon and War Machine get really, really cool moments. War Machine specifically, where you get to see all the different guns, the missiles, everything coming out all at once. I'm like, holy shit, this is a dope.
He was killing it in that particular fight scene when he's flying along the edge of the Wakandan shield and he's dropping all the missiles. And Falcon was doing some crazy cool, like flying and punching and kicking. I loved it.
Yeah, it was all so good. And I love all of the chants and everything that the Wakandan soldiers were doing. So they were filming Infinity War at the same time they were filming Black Panther.
Oh, okay.
So when everyone from Black Panther came over to the Infinity War set, Winston Duke started chanting to get everybody's spirits up. And the Russo brothers was like, what the hell is this? And they decided to keep it in the movie because it's such an iconic thing within Black Panther. Yeah. So I'm really glad that all of that stuff made it into the movie because it gets me hyped.
It gets me hyped too, man. Like, I think if you're watching that and you're not getting hyped, you might have to pee. But it's a great moment where they're all standing, they're all at high alert, and the actual like citizens of Wakanda are about to defend their home for probably the first time ever, because they've never opened themselves up to this scale of attack before, and they're willing to do it. Like, these people that are fighting with Black Panther, they're not Thor, they're not Scarlett, which, like, M'Baku is not a super powered man. He's just he's someone who is ready to die for doing the right thing. These are the soldiers in the war. Yeah. And that scene always gets me a little bit.
Yeah, and I love when T'Challa screams, Wakanda forever!
Yeah, everybody loves when T'Challa screams Wakanda forever.
So much of this movie depended on Black Panther being successful.
Right.
And to have the overlap in the photography and everything, like, that I think it was like they only had 2 weeks between shooting Black Panther and starting to shoot these scenes for Infinity War. And
that just is crazy to me.
It's nuts. Like, so much of Infinity War relies on Black Panther working. And so it shows, like, how much confidence Feige and everyone over at Marvel Studios had in Black Panther.
I mean, he was a awesome part of Civil War. I mean, the reaction to the Black Panther character from audiences when they viewed Civil War, like, they knew they had something special there.
Because it was done with respect.
Yeah.
And I love that Kevin Feige always had Chadwick Boseman in mind. He didn't think about anyone else. He wanted him. And I just love, he does such a great job in that role. And as a black man, being able to see Black Panther on screen, seeing how powerful he is, how bulletproof he is, looking at the rest of the people in Wakanda, like you said, they don't have a suit of armor. They're not Thor. They're willing to lay down their lives. Yes, they have vibranium spears and shields, but they're still giving up their lives to save their home and the universe.
Like, that's the important piece. Like, they're doing it because they recognize that it's not just about Wakanda anymore. It's about the whole world, and they want to step up and they want to do the fight.
Yeah.
And I love that. That scene always gets me. Big war scenes always get me a little bit, because the sacrifice by the people who aren't the super powered, or, you know, in a war movie, the generals, like, that is what always kind of makes me get a little misty eyed.
Yeah, and that's why I love watching Black Widow kick ass.
Oh my God. There's a moment in the fight, and I'm jumping way ahead, but there's a moment in the fight where Okoye and Black Widow and Scarlet Witch fight together. That gave me chills.
So fucking cool.
We're watching 3 superpowered women, and I do consider Okoye superpowered, even though she's not, because she is a skilled fighter.
Oh, yeah.
And I just happen to love her, period. But I'm watching them fighting it out in the biggest battle of what should technically be a boys-only club, the Avengers, but it's not.
And I'm glad that it's not. And I'm so happy that in the Black Panther comics, the Dora Milaje are the most badass warriors in comics, I think. And I love that they were able to bring them to the screen in such a unique and brilliant way, and shows their strength and their power, and I love it. Okoye is such a badass.
I really love her. I love the costume they chose to give her. I love the way that Danai Gurira, did I say that right? Because y'all taught me how to say that before. Danai Gurira. I always call her Michonne, which is my bad. But I love the energy and the poise and the confidence that she brought to that role, which I could also say about Scarlett Johansson with Black Widow. So to watch them fight together, ooh, it got me. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of moments in the fight scene that you're just like, yes, yes, yes. Like Winter Soldier with Rocket, yes. And Captain America, just yes. And... But I feel you on that. Like, it's nice to be able to look at the screen and see something that you feel you see yourself. And it's so important that everyone be able to look at these movies and see a piece of themselves. Everyone, no matter your ethnicity or anything about you, you should have that in these movies.
Yeah, for
sure.
I
love that.
Real quick, in that scene, I love watching Cap and Black Panther running ahead of all of the other soldiers. Yeah. Holy shit, was that cool.
Because one is like super soldier, but the other one is just fast. You know what I'm saying? Like, that suit, like, oh my God.
Like, it's
the technology in that thing is insane.
Yeah. And so, again, this is where the editing starts to go really crazy. So we cut back to Nidavellir, and they're trying to get the iris open in order to melt the metal to create...
They gotta jumpstart a star, essentially.
And that scene with Thor, it shows his strength, his power. It's so sick. He can breathe in space. Like, how dope is that?
He can breathe in space, and he can take essentially a supernova to the face and still look good. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't even look charred.
Yeah.
And
he did look kind of charred.
He looked a little charred. I like the idea, too, that without his hammer somehow imbibes him with the strength he needs to live. Like, he gets some of his immortality, if you will, from Mjolnir.
Well, it allows him to channel more of his power. So all of that is already inside of him, but it allows him to centralize that power so that he can use it at its full potential.
Yeah, but he also needs it because he was dying after the sun, the star's power hit him. And there goes sweet baby Groot. Not baby, but teenager, but you know what I mean. Cutting off his own arm to pull the Stormbreaker together to bring it over to him. And you don't even see it go into Thor's hand. You just see the lightning start and you know.
Yeah, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that is a scene that kind of leans on hoping that you've seen Thor to see the parallel of when he had Mjolnir pulled to him in order to bring him back to life.
Yeah, so it's a definite callback to Thor 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then the film cuts straight back to Wakanda after that scene, and Thor, I'm gonna call him Rabbit. Thor, Rabbit, and Groot come on the scene, coming through the Bifrost, and I remember being in the theater, and everyone lost their fucking mind.
Yeah, the whole theater erupted.
Insanity.
It is the most amazing scene. Like, they're in the trenches, they're not losing, but they're not doing awesome. Those space dogs are literally biting at Captain America. They're biting at Black Panther. They're breaking down the Hulkbuster suit, and then boom, you see the Rainbow Bridge come through, and then the axe just going through. You haven't even seen Thor yet. And then when you do see him, he's got Rocket the Rabbit on his shoulder and Groot next to him, and you just felt so hopeful, like, oh, we've got this.
What a great time to be a comic book fan.
Oh my God,
I
such
can
a good
see
time.
Thor with Stormbreaker opening the Bifrost with Rocket on his shoulder and Groot at his side, fighting together in Wakanda.
Saving Black Panther and the Bruce Banner and Captain America. You know what I mean? Like, it's such an amazing 3 minutes of this film.
Yeah, it's like, what is happening? This is so cool.
My absolute favorite comedic moment in the entire movie is here too, where Groot says, "I am Groot," and Cap goes, "I am Steve Rogers."
The whole thing is so good too, because Thor goes, "Oh, he's with me, the tree."
I would like you to meet my friend, Tree.
I'd like you to meet my friend, Tree. And he tells Captain, like, "I see you stole my beard."
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that.
Again,
so
that is my Thor. You're all welcome.
So we're constantly shifting back between Titan and Wakanda at this point. So we cut to Titan, and this is where Thanos meets Doctor Strange. And I love this exchange because Doctor Strange is so confident in his abilities, and I just love that confidence that he brings. He never seems afraid, really, but he knows what's at stake.
It's almost like that calm that people who are really good at meditation get.
Yeah.
Is more how I kind of interpret it. Like, he's always chill.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
He does yoga
with the way that he trained and everything that we saw in Doctor Strange. How he would even be able to meditate so deeply that his astral form could be studying while he was doing.
Yeah,
I can't even fall asleep when I want to.
It's so crazy. Like the growth between the film Doctor Strange and in Infinity War of his abilities is just amazing. I love it. Being a Doctor Strange fanboy, like getting to see him even more like at his full potential is so
I was
awesome.
Never a huge fan of Doctor Strange. After seeing Infinity War, I went back and I read some of the comics just so I could get caught up on some things and his powers, because I always knew about the bands of Sidorak and a bunch of other stuff,
which is amazing to see on screen, by the way.
Yeah. Like it's some really great stuff. I love that Thanos shows Doctor Strange what happened to his planet, and it shows his conviction. He's like, his planet was on the brink of collapse. They were gonna die. And Thanos is like, we need to kill half the people. Completely at random, rich, poor alike. you know, and because he didn't do it, his planet it's a wasteland.
His planet is a wasteland because he destroyed it. That's the part he doesn't tell.
True. That's what happened in the comics.
I even think that you're not. My interpretation of that is that he's saying, and look at what happened to it. Like, I don't think that what we're seeing is actually what happened to Titan, because destruction of that level would take a long time, and he's not immortal.
True.
He came back and he had a rage fit on it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I mean, you're right. That is the comic. So I might be interpreting that because I know that that's in the comics. He doesn't even save half of Titan. He literally blows Titan up.
Yeah. But that is a really good point, though. And I love everything about this fight. And I would love to just go around and talk about, like, your favorite moments between, like, the Guardians, Tony and Peter, and Thanos.
Oh, definitely whenever Strange is throwing up the discs and Peter is running across them. That's awesome. That's my favorite scene in that.
When Doctor Strange is making the portals and Spider-Man is jumping through them and he's like, magic again, magic with a kick. Just the way that they're all sort of working together is really awesome because Drax gets in a good couple of hits. Even Mantis does some cool stuff in that fight. It's a well done fight. I think my notes literally just say, fight with Thanos on Titan. Good, good, good.
Yep. Yeah, it really is.
There's so much happening in it, though.
Yeah, and this is the moment where you really get to see what the stones can do. He uses the space stone to absorb all of the fire and uses it as like a flamethrower. I thought that was really cool. I love seeing him use the power stone to break apart Titan's moon and then use the space stone to pull those shards down on the planet. Yeah. So sick.
Even earlier when he uses the reality stone to turn the debris Iron Man is throwing at him into angry birds, not the app, but literal just like angry crows that chase Iron Man. Like, that was really, really cool. Because the breaking apart of the moon happens after they lose the gauntlet.
Right.
And at that point, you're just like, damn.
Yeah.
He's got almost all of them at that point.
I love when Doctor Strange splits himself into all of those different parts. Like, that scene is so sick. Cool. And he uses the bands of Sidorak on him. And according to the Russos, this is the only time when Thanos uses the Soul Stone. So in order to push all of Doctor Strange's astral projections into himself, he has to use the Soul Stone to put him back into one.
Oh, that's cool.
That makes sense because whenever he flies back, you see his astral self fall out of him for a second and go back into him.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
I would have never known that if I didn't watch the commentary.
That's an awesome piece of trivia, though.
Yeah. So I thought that was really sick.
I always wonder what the Soul Stone does. I mean, even in the comics, it's not explained.
Yeah, it's not. It's very vague on what exactly.
Like, I know you can house souls in it.
Yeah.
Which is why you're there and read it now.
Yep. So I love the fact that they actually get him trapped. I love that Mantis is holding on to his head, trying to keep him docile, while everyone is trying to hold on to him. I love all of that stuff. The visual effects in this scene, I think, are probably the best. Yeah. And the way the Russos break it down is it's a giant foam head.
Oh my gosh.
That Josh Brolin has to pretty much like keep on his shoulders. Well, it's not on his shoulders yet, but Mantis is on top of this foam head, on top of this like mechanical bull type thing, and they CGI Thanos into the scene.
Oh, wow.
Like, I wish I could see the VFX breakdown of this. Yeah, like, it's sick to listen to them talk about it. Like, it's insane. And we get dumbass Peter Quill coming in.
Okay.
Yep, I want to hear this.
I'm super interested in this too.
I know that it's so stupid what he does. I understand. But guys, if he hadn't done it, the movie would be over at that point. Someone had to be the one that let them get to the snap. And I think collectively, everyone had a part in it. I understand that Peter's the easiest to blame because he physically punches him in the face and starts losing his mind, which makes Tony drop the gauntlet to grab Peter to get him away from him, which means Parker is trying to pull it off and he can't. But I honestly think I would react in the same situation.
And I hear you, but my only thing is, if you want to explain how Thanos gets free, it's simply because he has the strongest will. He even says it in the film. Like, his will is so strong that he's the only one that can achieve what he's trying to. And I feel like being such a powerful being, he would also have a powerful mind, and Mantis would just not be able to hold on to him for that long. That's just how I would have written it. I understand why the Russos did it. It makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I think you're right that if it sucks, I wouldn't want to be Chris Pratt. I'm going to tell you that right now for a couple of reasons. But it sucks that a large majority of people walked away from that scene going, Peter Quill ruined it. Because that's going to follow that character into Guardians 3. And it strikes me that if people really think that Peter Quill is the ruination of Infinity War, the reason why the snap happened, they may not be that excited to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. You know what I mean? So it makes me wonder why the Russo brothers chose that path. For me, knowing my own temper, if I were to be standing in front of the entity that had cost me the love of my life, I would lose it. I would go ballistic. So I understand what they were doing with it. And I totally also understand why people hate that Peter Quill did it. I'm just saying, for me, I accept it as part of just a bunch of these little mistakes that the Avengers and everybody kind of made that allowed the snap to eventually happen. But to your point, it was going to happen, right? 14,375,000. Like, one time we win. One time. And if it wouldn't have been Peter Quill punching him in the face, somebody else would have allowed him to get to the point where he got all of the stones. Like, so I just don't... It doesn't anger me the way that it angered 98% of the internet after the movie came out. But I get it.
It makes me think that because of the line that Strange has where he says we're in the end game now. Mm-hmm. Was this part of the plan?
It had to be.
Was it part of the plan that Quill would lose his shit the way that he did?
Because, I mean, he's the only one that doesn't even say anything when Quill's doing it. So, and I love that they pay attention to why things in time travel are important. If you know the future, you can't tell anyone because that's going to change the future.
Exactly.
So he can't say anything.
And if they only have one chance... 1 out of 14 million chances to do this right, he can't blow it. Yeah. And I honestly think, like, probably by the time they reached Titan, like, I don't know, maybe if Quill hadn't lost his mind, they would have won right there, but I just doubt it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, something had to happen, and again, my only defense to Quill is that Thor is just as wrong because he had an even greater opportunity to stop Thanos. Yeah. But doesn't do it. But we'll get there.
And he didn't do it because he wanted to have that cool line.
Yeah, but I mean,
he looked good when he said it.
It's all in vengeance. But I mean, it was a dumb mistake. Mm-hmm. But we cut back to Wakanda, and this is the great scene between Bucky and Rocket. He picks up Rocket, and they're just shooting. Come at me, space dogs!
It's so good. I was reading online, and it said that the space dogs line was whenever they showed some of the footage to a focus group, and someone referred to them as space dogs, and the Russos thought that was so funny that they put the line in the movie.
I love that line. I love when he asks him, how much for the gun? It's not for sale. How much for the arm? And then Winter Soldier walks off, and Rocket just goes, I'm going to get that arm. I don't think it's going to fit in your butthole, Rocket. I'm still upset.
So this is where Wanda comes down to save everyone else. So what would you call those things? Would you call them like drills? Like what would you call them?
Drills is what came to my mind.
Yeah, so they go under the shield and then come up, and then Wanda comes out and she just lifts all of them up and fucks up all of these space dogs. Like that was so cool.
Wanda is the queen of coming in and saving everyone's ass at the last minute.
She's like the Deus Ex Machina of the Marvel universe. Like she literally just shows up. I will also say, side note, not important at all, but I dig her costume in this film.
It's so cool.
It is so reminiscent. Like, it evokes the feeling of her comic book character, but like her booty is covered so she can fight. You know what I mean?
Her comic book costume is
it's like worse somehow than Psylocke, even though Psylocke has
it's less fabric.
It's less fabric than Psylocke. And to me as a young child, I remember my parents literally being like, Psylocke needs pants. You know, that's something that I really remember from that. It's just awful. Like, you don't need a cape and elbow length gloves if you're wearing a thong swimsuit. But this that they outfitted her in Avengers, this final scene, the flowing red leather trench coat, her hair is on point. Like, it just evokes that Scarlet Witch feeling, and you really feel like she's come into her power. And when she lands, and she not only picks up all those drills as they're coming at Black Widow and Okoye, but she drops them behind them to kill all the space dogs. Like, amazing.
Yeah, it's so good. And we learn right after that this was actually Proxima's plan the whole time, was to get Wanda away from Vision,
right, so
that Corvus could go in there and get the stone.
Basically pretended was dead earlier in the movie.
Yeah,
and
so
like,
I love all of that stuff.
Comic trivia, Proxima and Corvus are married in the comic book.
Yep.
Yeah. So, do you think that Shuri was able to finish Vision's brain mapping? I think she was able to finish it. What do you guys think?
Probably. She's just so smart, y'all.
Yeah, she's such a genius.
Yeah, I think it only makes sense for Vision's return in Endgame. Like, I don't know if that happens, but I think that's going to be it. I think if and when Shuri comes back, I think she'll be able to upload whatever to Vision's new body, because I think they're going to find a way to make Vision a new vibranium body. And I don't know. I'm really excited to see. Fuck, I can't wait for Endgame.
I think just because I have such confidence that Shuri can do literally anything, I believe that she mapped his full brain.
Yeah, because I mean, right before Corvus knocks her over, like, I think she's done and she, like, swipes it away.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Corvus could have done something to the programming, because he destroys the table that she was working on anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that she was done, but who knows?
Yeah, I got really mad in that scene.
Why?
Because he hit her.
Yeah.
I was so angry.
Bad guy.
He's a terrible person. Get out of here.
And so the next scene is where Bruce is in the Hulkbuster and he's fighting the Black Dwarf.
Begging the Hulk to come to his rescue.
Yeah. He's like, screw you, you big green asshole. I'll do it myself.
There are a lot more curse words in this film, and they're used perfectly. Because it's just really Quill that curses, because Quill curses, which is like kind of the beauty of the Guardians. But when Mark Ruffalo says, screw you, you big green asshole, the whole theater laughed when I saw it in the theater. Because it's so perfect.
I hope that in Endgame they let him use the one PG-13 F-bomb. I want them to like.
You want Hulk to have it?
I don't know who I want to have it, but I like the culmination of it. They got more risque. They got Steven calling him a son of a bitch.
They got Steve Rogers saying the B word. That was shocking,
dude. When I heard that, I was like, "Ooh, you got my boy fucked up."
Yeah,
yeah.
That is my boy, though.
Like,
calm down.
I don't know.
I said that's my boy.
I don't know where they would use it, but I want them to use it just the one time, like just it would be perfect.
Yeah, and then we get the scene where so Vision is on his own with Corvus fighting in the jungle in Wakanda, and Cap goes to save him, and he's telling Vision to get out of here, and of course, Vision comes back to save Cap and tells him, "We don't trade lives, Captain.
We don't trade lives, Captain."
See, I love good like plans and payoffs, because I feel like they can go great or really terrible.
Yeah,
like
it just depends on if it's
Hellboy movie.
Yes. I didn't even see that train wreck. We can talk about that later.
Yes, we can. I would love to talk about it after the podcast because I have some choice words.
Yeah.
But again, this is where the editing goes completely insane. We jump right back to Titan, and this is even more of the fight between Doctor Strange and Thanos, I believe, right?
Yeah, I actually believe that that this is when they have the whole thing go down where they don't get the gauntlet off of their arm.
Right.
And Quill does the big mess up. And you feel like, oh, we're screwed now. And then he blows up the moon and starts pummeling the Earth. Not the Earth, but Titan with the pieces of Titan's moon. And, like, Mantis is unconscious. Drax is unconscious. Quill is unconscious. And Spider-Man's, like, saving them all. You don't know what's happening with Iron Man. There's so much activity.
I'm sorry, I can't remember all of your names. I can't remember all of your names. But that nanotech suit is so dope. And this scene really shows everything that it can do.
All the different... I mean, it's crazy. The boots that he can use... There's so many different weapons that are on it that can stop Thanos from closing his hand.
That was really cool.
That was really cool because there was the thing that he threw that attaches to Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet, the glove, so that it can't be closed. And then later he does something with the foot of the suit so that he can stomp on Thanos' the fight between Thanos and Iron Man was, I think, very epic.
Yeah, it was so cool. Stark, you know who I am? You're not the only one cursed with knowledge.
And you wonder, like, okay, is Thanos saying, like, I know you because of what you did in New York. Like, I know that you're the reason why I didn't succeed in New York. Like, the idea that Thanos has been in Iron Man's head for 6 years, but so has Stark in Thanos' head. That was cool.
That's what I think. So, real quick before I forget again. So, at the beginning of the film where where Hulk lands in the Sanctum Sanctorum and he says Thanos is coming, Doctor Strange says, who? I'm confused by that because as the Sorcerer Supreme, your job is to know everything that goes on in the galaxy. And I think Doctor Strange would know the person that has the biggest army in the entire galaxy. I think he would know who Thanos is. Like, I thought that was pretty weird. That he had no idea.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that until literally just now.
Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't the Sorcerer Supreme know who Thanos is?
I bet the Ancient One did.
Is. Yeah. But I mean, as you learn throughout all of these books and everything, like, Thanos has been around for a while. I feel like he would come across him in some way, but who knows?
Yeah,
I hadn't thought about that. That's a good point, though. Like, maybe you're not so supreme.
Yeah.
You know, but he is new at it.
True.
But, so Thanos snaps off Tony's blade and stabs him with it.
God, I audibly
Did you
yell
think
every
Tony
time.
was going to die?
Yes, man.
I
did too. I was like, holy shit. They have the balls to kill Tony Stark. It's happening. But
because at that point they had killed so many people, you know, and then I even audibly gasped today when I saw it, which was the 4th time I've seen this movie, which is a lot of times to watch a 3-hour film.
Yeah,
y'all are both looking at me like, no.
Yeah, I've seen it like 40 times.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
I've watched the commentary
6 times
track.
this week.
Yeah.
Oh, James, this is why you've gotten to this weird place where you think Thanos is right. This is what has happened. You've Stockholm syndromed yourself. We're gonna have to take you out after this for a hamburger and some fries because we're gonna save you.
So Doctor Strange tells Thanos to spare Tony's life and gives him the time stone. And the look that Doctor Strange gives Thanos, it's like he knows that Stark has to live in order for us to win the end game.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious to see what happens next.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be really, really interesting. So,
and the look on Iron Man's face, because he's like, you literally said you would trade us for the stone. Like, you literally said this wouldn't happen. That was a good moment.
Yeah, and Thanos is like, one more. And he uses the Space Stone, goes to Wakanda. And immediately the atmosphere is different. Vision can feel the Mind Stone telling him that Thanos is coming. Everyone can feel that everything around them is very different. Everything is super quiet. They don't know what's about to happen. And then the epic score kicks in and Thanos comes out of the portal with the Space Stone. And how cool does he look?
He looks so cool.
It's the coolest.
Yeah, that's a villain entrance.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. Well, a savior entrance.
I knew it was coming.
I like keep thinking he's gonna drop it, and he doesn't. And I'm like, damn, James, I'm not gonna come to your house anymore if you're a fan of genocide.
Every time I see this movie, it's like, you know what? Thanos is right. He is right. He is here to save us all.
Oh my God, James.
So, Vision knows that Thanos is coming. Thanos is here, and all of them start to go after Thanos one by one, and they all fall to him.
It's a crazy scene to watch too.
Yeah,
because it's kind of slow mo, but and then at the same time to have Wanda and Vision having that very heart to heart discussion about her killing him.
Man.
That's rough.
And you get that amazing shot with Steve
grabbing
the gauntlet. And that look of confusion on Thanos' face that he wasn't expecting Steve to be that strong.
You're a human.
Wow.
That is an amazing scene of Captain America's strength. Even better than when he like deadlifts that helicopter.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm talking about? I think I grabbed your arm when we saw that and I went, oh, because it was crazy. He was like working out with a helicopter.
It was nuts.
It's nuts. And this is more hardcore than that.
Oh, for sure.
He does get punched in the face, but he does better than anyone who's come up against Thanos.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy. Like, that look of confusion, acceptance, And then Thanos is just kind of pissed off. It's like, all right, you're in my way. I have one more stone to go.
Get this stone.
I need this. So he punches Steve in the face really hard.
Yeah.
And then he's going after Vision. And it's such a touching scene watching Wanda having to kill the person that she loves.
While he mouths, I love you at her. Oh, God, that got me, you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, she destroys Vision. And then Thanos is sympathizing with her. It's like, I understand your sacrifice.
I just threw my daughter off a wall.
Yeah. And he uses the time stone. Again, every single stone is used in this film to show you exactly what it can do. So if you've never seen Doctor Strange, you know what the time stone can do. And he brings Vision back and rips the Mind Stone out of his head. It's so
and
messed
it's
up.
so gruesome the way he rips it out of his head. You feel that in your own brain.
Yeah, and he goes completely gray, lifeless, and Thanos just throws him to the side like a rag doll and puts it into the gauntlet, and he is now all powerful.
I love how the all the colors of the gauntlet kind of run through him like veins in that moment. It's a really cool scene.
It's sick. The visual effects in that scene is really cool too. And so Thor comes out of nowhere. And does he blast Thanos, I think?
Throws the axe.
Yeah, so Thanos is throwing a blast at Thor, and Thor throws the axe, which is crazy that the axe can withstand the power of the entire Infinity Gauntlet all at once. Hits Thanos in the chest, and it's like, why didn't you go for the head?
Yeah, but you don't think that until Thanos says it. Because I remember the first time I saw it in the theater when Thor lodges it in Thanos' chest, we all started cheering because we thought, like, this is it. Like, we didn't know.
And
Neither
he starts
did Thor,
pushing
he
the axe
talking.
into his chest, and I'm like, yes, die.
dig it in, die.
And then Thanos is like, you should have gone for the head. I like that. That was in sync.
And we did do it in sync. We all just snapped.
So we get the infamous snap that comic book fans know from the comics. Like, there's literally an entire panel of just Thanos' fingers snapping.
It is
amazing.
amazing.
In the comic. And being able to see it in this and Thor screaming no. Like, he knows that he fucked up.
I love too that it gets kind of weird there because it's like Thanos snaps, but then he's like floating in kind of a red abyss, and
so he's teleported
gone.
into the Soul Stone. That's what the Russos say.
Yeah.
Oh, he teleported into the Soul Stone and then he comes back out.
Yeah.
And then you see the gauntlet.
Well, his consciousness, not his physical body, but his consciousness. We're seeing his consciousness in the Soul Stone talking to Gamora, and then we cut back to his physical form.
That's good to know, because I was always like, that's weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, that scene was really touching, too, because Gamora is like, what did it cost? And he's like, everything. Like, it's rough, man. But
I love when you see that the gauntlet itself is charred and broken.
And so is Thanos.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of power to wield.
Yeah.
I mean, other people, that might be in Endgame too, but I mean, it can really devastate a body.
Yeah. And the Russos say that the gauntlet and Thanos are permanently damaged from this moment.
He was permanently damaged when it started. Mentally.
Negative. So this is where we start to see the dusting happening. Bucky goes first.
Steve?
Then we start to see the Wakandan soldiers. Yeah, that was really rough. Because, I mean, he just got Bucky back, and then he's just gone. Then we see T'Challa
that was
get dusted.
The one that made me, like, I was not expecting that at all.
The look on Okoye's face when she sees her king get dusted, her entire life, she has been groomed, trained to take care and protect the king. And in this moment, she couldn't do anything.
And it reads that when you look at the facial expression.
And with Shuri, now that we know that Shuri was dusted also, that leaves Wakanda with no one on the throne.
It's a shame.
Yeah. And this is where I think that what is Winston Duke's character's name?
M'Baku.
Yeah, I think he's going to take the throne temporarily.
That would be amazing.
He's cool.
Yeah, so immediately after that,
I'm okay. I say that's okay.
Immediately after that, we see Groot get dusted, and Rocket's expression, like, no.
Have you heard what James Gunn tweeted? The last thing that whenever he says, I am Groot, as he's passing.
No.
He's reaching out to Rocket and says, Daddy.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
I thought what's his face was dad. He thinks of Rocket as his dad? Oh, that's interesting.
Because Rocket's the one who replanted him.
Oh, I always thought he thought of Quill as his dad, and that was like the whole thing at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, because all the daddy issues, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, it was something that James Gunn tweeted.
I didn't need to know that, because I'm going to cry about that in the shower later tonight, Brad. For me, one of the worst is Falcon. Because Falcon dies by himself. No one even sees it happen. Rhodey is looking for him.
Yeah.
That is horrible. Like, obviously, tons of people dusted alone, right? Yeah. And no one knows.
Wanda was right over Vision's body, and then it looks like she's trying to take that last breath, and then she just fades.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Titan. Mantis goes first. Then Drax is like, Quill? And you just see him get dusted, and Quill's next, and then Doctor Strange gets dusted next. And
that one shocked me, too.
Yeah, I was shocked by that. And
he was like, there was no other way.
There's no other way.
Yeah, and then
he knew.
Yeah, and then Peter gets dusted next, and I love that scene where he's like, I don't feel so good, because you know it's his spider sense telling him that something bad is about to happen.
I didn't get that, and I actually thought that it was a little strange. I mean, it didn't bother me, but it was a little strange that he had such a different reaction, and it takes him so much longer to dust out than the other ones. And I was like, man, they're really trying to get us to cry for Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's only because the spider sense told him moments before it was about to happen.
So, okay, that's crazy.
Yeah. So small caveat. So you know, in the bus where his the hair on his arms stick up, that's not CGI. The Russos say that that's someone blowing in Tom Holland's ear, and that made the hair on his arm stand up. I thought that was really weird. I thought it was CGI.
Yeah. Who do you hire to go blow into a teenage boy's ear? I have questions.
I thought it was weird, but it worked.
Where's his mother?
But we see Peter get dusted, and Tony looks absolutely broken, because we see him talk about having kids with Pepper in the beginning, and Peter is kind of like his kid.
I mean, definitely he thinks of Peter in the terms of, like, I guess the way like Batman would think of Robin.
Exactly.
Like a very, like, when they ask him on the ship way earlier, is like Strange is like, is this your ward? Like, they're almost making that Batman Robin joke comparison, but it's true. Like, he cares for Peter. Yeah. And it's devastating to see him
really
go.
Is. Yeah.
And then to realize, I was shocked that Nebula made the cut. I guess I don't think of Nebula as that important of a character, which is a shame, because I guess she really is.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's an additional arc, right? She already lost her sister, and now she still has to get her revenge against Thanos.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why she survives.
I am honestly very interested to see what Nebula does in Endgame. I'm excited to see that, which I wouldn't have thought I would have said after Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I was comfortable to never see Nebula again. But they really did something really cool with bringing her back into the fold. So I'm down.
Yeah, and I love that the original 6 are the one that survives. Yeah. Along with War Machine, Rocket, and Nebula. Like, I love that it's them. And Cap looks so broken. He's like, what happened? Like,
Doesn't he say, like, my God?
Yeah.
It's like the last thing that he says in the movie before it cuts to Thanos on his farm.
Yes, exactly. He has completed his mission. He has saved the universe.
Oh my God.
And now he can sit in his hut and
gaze. That's what he wants to do in his retirement. He wants to sit in his hut on a planet with no friends and look out in the world because no one loves him.
A beautiful sunrise on a grateful world.
Oh my God. Brad, are we ever coming back over here?
So, if you pay attention, if you look in the bottom right corner, Thanos has his uniform on the Scarecrow in the field.
Yes, I did notice that this time that I watched it.
I was like, holy shit, this is so cool. This is right from the comics. Yeah. Like, it's dope. Directly. And then we get it in the Endgame trailers as well. So I thought it was really, really cool. And then we see Thanos he looks so relaxed, relieved. And then that last look of pride and arrogance, like, I did it. And
that smile. He doesn't feel bad about it at all.
Because he's right.
No, James.
He saved us all.
I again want to just throw the word genocide out to you.
The universe will now flourish for trillions of generations more.
Let's be real,
because Thanos saved us.
The idea of culling a people by 50% is a warlord's idea. Yeah. And it's been used in history. And for the Russo brothers to take that and give it to Thanos as his motivation in the film, to me, that was brilliant. Because we talked about it a million times, but all that shit about death as a personified being. Like, it just wasn't gonna work.
Yeah.
Like, how are they gonna do this? And this, I got it. And Brolin was able to play it so logical and so strong. And just, it's such a well done, strong film. And yeah, it's, when people say, like, oh God, I hate superhero movies, they're so stupid. Like, cool, you're only hurting yourself because this is a fantastic movie.
Yeah, you're missing out on great stories.
Yeah. You know, like, maybe that sounds really cool to you when you say it out loud, and like that makes you friends. Like, I don't care if you say like, oh, I'm not interested in them, but don't rag on them, because when you see a film like this is high level filmmaking.
Oh yeah,
this is high level acting. This is actors at their best, and I am really excited to see Endgame.
Yeah, and we get the end credit scene with Nick Fury and Maria Hill driving through the city. Helicopters are crashing, cars are crashing, and I love that we get to see the beeper.
Yes.
The 2A pager, and I love we get the Captain Marvel logo, and it makes so much more sense when you actually see Captain Marvel after this to get the true context of everything. And I love all of it. After all the credits roll, it says Thanos will return.
Yeah.
I love this movie so much.
It's so good.
It's just
and
so
again,
good.
it's 2 hours and 30 minutes long, but it feels quick.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not...
It's amazing.
Normal movies, like, feels like an hour and a half, honestly.
Because honestly, like, Age of Ultron is 2 hours and...
Yeah, it's like 2 hours and like 15
2
minutes.
2 hours and 15 minutes, and it feels it. You feel every one of those minutes, because it does kind of drag. But this just doesn't. When it's over, you're just kind of sitting there like, what just happened?
Yeah, my mom called me. She's like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
My mom, whenever we watched it the other day, goes, boo, worst one yet.
My best friend texted me, and she was like, is this real life? And she was like, oh, baby Groot. No. I was like, I'm sorry, boo. But like, everyone had those kind of visceral reactions to it. And it's extremely rare to see them lose.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be more impactful when we see them win in Endgame, because we see how much they've lost in Infinity War, and before this, everything that they've lost leading up to this, and they finally get that revenge against Thanos. And I cannot wait. I don't want to see my Lord go down in flames.
James.
But I love the Avengers.
I don't want to see my Lord go down in I want to, like, just let everybody know, too, like this is Easter weekend, so that's really funny to me that you said that. I don't know why. Like, he'll come. It's going to be fine. Maybe he will be, maybe they'll save him. Maybe they'll show him, like, not redeem him. He's always going to be a prick. But maybe they will, maybe he doesn't die in Endgame.
What do you think?
I have no idea, but I just feel like anything is possible in Endgame.
I don't know. I'm just...
What if, I mean, the Infinity War comics ends with him stuck in like a... I don't think it's the Soul Stone that he gets stuck in.
I can't remember, honestly.
But it is something that he is kind of imprisoned in as like a living dead. You know, like he can't function, he can't do anything, only his mind is active.
I think that would be a good punishment.
That would be the worst punishment for a villain like Thanos.
Much like Red Skull, he doesn't deserve death. He deserves to be tortured for the rest of his existence.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, any final thoughts on Infinity War?
You know, I think that they achieved something really, really legendary with Infinity War, and I just think it is one hell of a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those movies that the way that I look at the original Star Wars trilogy, where I'm like, God damn, I wish I would have been able to be around to be there whenever that happened, like as they were coming out. This is going to be one of those movies that future generations are going to be like, oh my God, like to have been able to have seen Infinity War on the big screen would have been incredible.
I hope I have kids who think that. I don't want a bunch of nerd kids who don't love comic books. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No, I'm playing.
I think this is the most ambitious superhero movie to date.
Absolutely.
Like the things that we've seen in this movie are things that I never thought I would see ever in life.
Oh my God, so true.
Like, I keep bringing it up, but seeing Doctor Strange split himself and use the bands of Sidorak against Thanos. Like, there's so many cool things. Seeing Groot and Rocket teaming up with Thor. In Wakanda. Like, there's so many things in this movie that I just thought I would never see. And every time I see it, I just smile and I just love everything about it. And I can't wait for Endgame. Now, I do want to give you guys my theory for Endgame.
Okay, let's do this.
I think that the Avengers are going to find Scott. They are going to use the quantum realm to go through time, pick the Infinity Stones throughout time before Thanos can get them, use the Infinity Stones to maybe bring everyone back, or just use it as a weapon against Thanos' gauntlet. And Captain Marvel, who I think is the only person powerful enough to wield said gauntlet to fight against Thanos and defeat him that way. Who knows? We'll find out in a couple of days.
That is almost word for word exactly what my theory is for this movie. Not even kidding. I've been saying that to anyone who will listen for as long as since Infinity War came out, like, and especially since Captain Marvel came out and they showed how powerful she is. Like, I've been saying time vortex in the quantum realm, and Captain Marvel is going to either use her powers, or they're going to find a way to get the stones before him in time, and Captain Marvel and Thanos are going to duke it out.
Yeah, because I mean, they if you've seen any of the set photos, you can see the Avengers back in 2012 during the events of the first Avengers. So I think we're going to see the Avengers go back in time, and they have to avoid themselves. Any of you guys watch the Flash TV show? The reason why I got this theory, I don't want to spoil it for you guys then. Okay, so I won't say anything, but
just in case I binge watch The Flash one weekend.
Yes,
that's kind of you. That means that The Flash means a lot to you, because usually you would just run into the spoilers. Okay,
but I've heard it's awesome. I just haven't gotten the chance to watch it yet.
Yeah, season 4 is absolute bullshit, but everything else is awesome. It. Yeah, season 4 is absolute crap. There's nothing to redeem season 4, but something happens in season 5 that gave me the idea for this theory. After seeing the set photos and everything, that made me think that this film could go that route.
See, I had a guy that worked for the theater for like a week before he quit, and he was an extra on Endgame and Infinity War. And he told me in the interview, and I guarantee you that he should not have said this to me, but he was like, yeah, I'm in one scene that takes place in like 1966, and I'm in one scene that takes place now.
Holy shit.
And I was like, oh my God. That's when I started piecing it together. And this is like over a year ago that this guy was at the theater. But ever since he said that, that's whenever I've been kind of piecing the stuff together to almost exactly what you said.
Sick. Lola, Brad, thank you guys so much for being on this podcast with me. It's been so much fun to review all of these movies on our road to Endgame. We are just days away, under a week away from seeing what will be the biggest superhero film of all time, and I'm really glad that I got to talk to you guys about these movies. Guys, please follow us all over social media at C4Spoilers. Head over to our website, carefulforspoilers.com, where you will get links to our Patreon, you get links to social media, our podcast, all of the other podcasts, and where we just talk about different things in the world of gaming, TV shows, anime, movies. Head on over there just to check out our stuff. And if you want to support the podcast, again, head over to Patreon. We have a lot of exclusive content. Everyone on Patreon will be able to get all of these podcasts a week early. So if you want to head over there to get all the episodes early, that would be great. And until we see and review Avengers Endgame, we will see you guys next time.